Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to bingo night. Happy Friday. Let me straighten myself out a little bit here. There we go. Happy Friday. Have you ever seen such a thing? This is just a glass of wine tonight, but as you can see, this extraordinary vessel has some kind of a wine stem with a permanent solo cup on top. So you can see class, and I've got on my Cracker Jack necklace tonight, and all of these things must be clear signs to you that I am not messing around. This is bingo night. Welcome, everybody. We sold 86 cards as of this minute, so our jackpot is $258. Cheers, my dears. Happy Friday, and I'll see who's here. Mm-mm. You have to tell me if you're having a nice cocktail night. All right, and having a nice drink. I've just got my plain old wine, but with something like bingo night, I feel like I really need to be concentrating. We've got a different setup tonight. I have my, say it with me, Wheel of Fortune. I got a lot of requests to do this again, and I love requests, so Wheel of Fortune is back. You can see there's also, it's a terrible snowstorm outside, and I'm hoping I don't get stranded here tonight. Truly, it's that bad. All the plastic on the windows and stuff to keep it warm in here. But I am ready to play. I've got my head in the game. I'm ready to play. Let's see. Let's see who's here. Oh dear, oh dear. Now I have a different setup going because I'm stepping back game show style. So I know I'm looking at you here, but when I look down, I'm just looking at your comments. Magby VG, hello everybody in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I have my hat tipped to go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania in like within the month. Super excited to head your way. Kira, there you are in Plymouth. Happy Friday, welcome. Let me get my drink in my hand. Cynthia, welcome and happy Friday. Good to see you. Oh, that's good news from San Antonio, Texas. The snow is all melted today. Yes, we need some more good news from Texas, that's for sure. Heather, you're one of the early birds getting it ready. I'll see you tomorrow. I can't wait to see you again. Doreen, happy Friday. Good Friday evening to everyone from upstate New York. I bet you're pretty cold and snowy too. We got it. We got it this last 2 weeks. We have super had our fill. Crystal from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. You put up a beautiful frame today, Crystal. I hope somebody snaps that up. A beautiful rectangular floor frame, a nice big one. That was gorgeous. If it wasn't so far away, I'd go for that. You've got your game face on tonight. Good. Good. I hoped it brings out that amazing bingo wheel. I didn't want to disappoint you. It worked so well last time until I can think of a new carnival device. There's a lot more calls tonight, which means there should be fewer winners, which could be exciting. On our for those of you who are just joining us, tonight is our monthly game night. We've been doing trivia night, not for bets. Bingo night is for bets. It's $3 a card, so the people who are playing can play as many cards as they want at $3 a card that they can handle. And we play blackout, which means of your whole bingo card, you need to get all of the calls. It's not in a row, it's not diagonal, it's the whole card is blackout. In the center of your card tonight, you have the Jane Austen rug. God, did I not write down? You know what? I don't think I wrote down. Somebody help me out here. Diane posted in the group this week the Jane Austen rug. Help me remember what who the designer is on that. I didn't write it down because it's not one of these guys. It's the free spot in the middle. One of the big rug hooking companies does the rug called the Jane Austen rug, and that is your free spot. If you can think of it, write it in the comments so I can say it out loud. But that center spot, again, is the Jane Austen rug. You can go ahead, get your pen, and cross that out. You're already winning, but all the other ones you need to get, and in order to be the winning card. So let's see. Oh, Doreen in upstate New York, Crystal, Joan in frigid Wisconsin, I bet. Chrissy, cheers, my dears, cheers, my dears. So whenever you say it, I have to have a little sip. Mm-mm. I love that thing. That is too funny. Mom, you are on. It is all snowy in Granby. Cheers, Mom. I miss you. I wish we were doing this together. Jennifer, greetings in the on the frozen coast of Maine. Now let me know though, is it snowing in Maine? It seems like in Maine, as cold and the worst winter weather you would expect, it seems like a lot of these little storms are bypassing Maine. And if they are, I'm very happy for you because I know you get a ton of snow ordinarily. And I'm sure there's a ton on the ground. But it seems like the southern New England is getting hit with a lot, in the tri-state area, with a lot more storms than northern New England in the last month. It just seems so unlikely, doesn't it? Sheila, woohoo! And you have some family with you or some friends with you tonight, right, Sheila? Oh, I'm so glad you're on in Benton City, Washington. Linda, cheers in snowy New Jersey. On Sunday, I'm shooting over to, what is it called? It'll come to me. It's a town in New Jersey where I'm picking up some rug hooking stuff. It'll come to me. I'll let you know just in case it's anywhere near you. I'm shooting over there on Sunday. Brenda, oh, good you're on. Hello from St. Paul, Minnesota. Hey, Brenda. Happy Friday. Penny, happy Friday in South Carolina. How are you doing? I'm so glad to see you. 48 hours now snowing in Connecticut, right, Heather? It's just crazy. It's been like the slow burn. It hasn't been like just dumping for 2 days, but it's been, threatening and teasing, and it's done like a little sandpiper dance, like, here I come, and then you back off, and then here I come again. And it feels like it's really taunting. It's a taunting snowstorm this time. Anita in Ontario. Yay, bingo, Anita. Good to see you. Linda B. I think I said hello and did a little New Jersey talk, but if not, hello. I think I did. Maybe I preempted that. Patricia in Southwest Florida with the little palm tree. That looks enticing. Oh, that looks nice. Robin, welcome back. Happy Friday. Great to see you. Catherine in sunny Arizona. We get such a mixed bag, huh? Catherine, I'm so happy to see you. Happy Friday. Let's see. Carol, cocktail night in southern Utah. Oh, I wonder what it's doing there. Happy Friday, Carol. Good to see you. And Teresa, cheers, my dears. Happy Friday. Michelle, happy Friday in snowy Gulf, Ontario. Oh, I bet. Patricia, you're going to watch the Good Luck. Good luck, you all. Oh, good. It slipped you. Oh, well, hey, you're here and you'll get all the great information. It'll be as fun as anything. And Linda H. Okay, there we go. We always have two Lindas that come on at different times, and I have to be sure I say hi to both. Hello, Linda in Massachusetts. It is super snowy. Christine M. Winter weather advisory in Brockport, New York. Okay. Hoping that the lake snow misses you. I hope so too. I hope it's nice and quiet and calm. You like the cup care? It's a funny one. It's a funny one. I forget what I had last week. Last week I had a cocktail and it kind of knocked me out. I'm just not used to drinking that much these days. So having just a little bit of wine in this gigantic solo cup is probably going to be enough for me tonight. But if it's not, I'll give the signal to get a refill, of course. Partay, that's right. Yeah, the cards are always on Ribbon Candy Hooking in the Facebook page, but it's just as much fun to watch, I'm sure. And Lily, there you are. Lily, I did some beautiful necktie dyeing for you. I wonder if I have them right here. No, I don't. Where did I put them? I dyed 3 or 4 ties for Lily today with the, I'll have to set, here they are. Let me show you real fast. Just in case, I was trying to get some ties ready for the little lady pincushion thing. I did the silk tie, when you wrap it up in the white wool. I did a few. This is 3 different ties here that I think came out pretty good. Kind of blues. They look a bit monotone, but they're a bit prettier than they're looking on camera. It's late at night here. And then I did a couple here. They all came out quite good. Pretty, real pronounced patterns going. And I just put a video out on this dyeing with the silk necktie thing. And it's certainly something you can do without investing in all kinds of equipment and making a mess in your kitchen. It's just fun. It's something different and it's just fun. Thumbs up. Thank you, Heather. Thumbs up, share, like the video, all that stuff. It helps so much with visibility for this channel. Helps other people find me, and then I get sales, and then the business keeps going, which is super important for me right now. Lisa, happy Friday. Good luck to everybody. That's right. Good luck, everyone. Trisha, hello from the North Pole, Alaska. Oh, I bet it's cold and snowy. Welcome. I'm very glad that you're with us. I'm glad you're there. Slapper, going to have a beer. Toronto in lockdown for 2 more weeks. Okay. Yeah, have a beer for sure. That'll help something, right? That'll do something. And Anne, thank you for your lovely message. I really appreciated it. Lucy, and you are raring to go. Oh, that's great. Janice, good evening and welcome. Hello. You have your glass of wine ready. So good. Heat wave here at 10 in northern Minnesota. Yeah. Oh, you've been spared on the coast, Jennifer. You have 2 inches of ice from Tuesday's snow. Turn to sleep. Isn't it crazy? Oh, Karen, you're in Pennsylvania. You're a new hooker, so you're new to the whole thing. How fun! I hope you're getting all the answers that you want. I know you're getting the support that you want or need. Probably even some extra because this group is so nice and so forthcoming with information. But you are very, very welcome. I hope you're having fun. I hope you're not putting too much pressure on yourself and you're just having fun. Kira and Crystal. Okay, so let's do it. So just a reminder, get your pencils ready, get your papers out, however many cards you're playing. If this is your first time to bingo and whether you're logged on or not, I just want to let you know that I know from looking at the Ribbon Candy Hooking website, and I should have said at the beginning, I'm Deanna with Ribbon Candy Hooking. This is our YouTube channel, Ribbon Candy Hooking on YouTube, and we do our live shows 3 days a week. We Zoom on Wednesdays. On Fridays, we always do a long show that's half the time a game and half the time just long commentary, but always a cocktail-y show on a Friday night. So you need to do blackout with your card. You need to get every spot. You've already crossed out that Jane Austen rug in the middle. Oh, I'm glad, Karen. Keep coming back for more info and help. If I don't know, I'll certainly point you to somebody that knows more than me. So one way or the other, we'll get there with all the questions. So yeah, so you need to get blackout with everything. Now this is a literary theme tonight. So if you're looking at your card, you can see that there's pictures of rugs. We always start with rugs. That's always our kicking off point. You've got a picture of a rug, and the rug for me suggested the title of a book, or it's a book, if not the title. So when I make a call, I'm going to spin the wheel, and wherever this thing gets closest to at the bottom, I'll cut that one off. I'll tell you something about the rug that you're looking at, and then I just need a quick minute to pull up my notes, and I will tell you something about the book and the year it was written, and I will give you, if I have it, either the first or the last line of the book. So this is designed to, number one, look at some rugs on a Friday night, learn some new designers, maybe learn some new shops to buy some more supplies or some new patterns, but also maybe beef up your reading list, or if you're in between books or you just love books, to maybe find some books or learn about some titles or authors that you haven't tried yet that maybe you say to yourself, oh, that sounds like it's right up my alley. This is something that I could really get into, and you write it down because you've already got a pencil in your hand, right? So that's how the game is going to work. So having said that, let's go. Wheel. No, you have to say it with me because I can hear you. Wheel of Fortune, and then I'm going to spin clockwise. And as I say, I'm going to cut the one that's closest to the thingy, the tabby thingy. That was a really big spin. So our first call of the night is, it's got to be, oh, I think it's this one. This is our first call of the night, and I'll show it to you too. It is the Frog Prince. It is the Frog Prince. And it looks like this. Oh, good, Christine. Isn't this a pretty rug? So this is actually a pattern by the Honey Beehive. You know the website Honey Beehive? It's an excellent, excellent big website, all kinds of rug hooking supplies. But this is their pattern called Burgess King Frog, and that is the Frog Prince. So I think that's going to be an easy one to pull up. I have an idea already who did that. This is going to be where you do your checking off and I grab my thing. Oh, you know what? It's under T for the. Isn't that the worst? I forgot about that whole alphabetical thing. The Frog, I'm sorry, the Frog King. It's the Frog King, not the Frog Prince. Same picture. And it's by the Brothers Grimm. So this is an oldie. In olden times, when wishful thinking still helped, there lived a king whose daughters were all beautiful. But the youngest was so beautiful that the sun itself, which had seen so many things, was always filled with amazement each time it cast its rays upon her face. That is the first line of the Frog King. And this book was written in 1812, so it's an older book. The Frog Prince is the story itself is mentioned several times, okay, in film. It's been made into quite a few cartoons and children's films over the years. And of course, we all know this sort of main motif of the Frog Prince, which is that he's really a prince, right? And he needs to be kissed to turn back into his original form of being a prince. but cute little story. That was our first call. Number 2. All right. This looks like, oops, I just plucked one off. You know what? I'm going to take the one I plucked so that we don't get in trouble. Profiles in Courage. Profiles in Courage. You probably are already well aware. This is the picture you have for Profiles in Courage. Again, the pictures I'm giving you have to do with rug hooking. They're not the covers of the book. This is the book by JFK, John F. Kennedy. And the picture that I'm showing you is the fantastic picture. We covered her last week. Wheel of Hooking. That's a good one. We covered her last week, Elizabeth LaFour, right, when we did our Chetty Camp chapter. Oh, thanks, Lily. I love the new kit, too. Wait till you see the kit that's going to come out this week. You're just going to die. The pink cushion is amazing. There's another great one, right, hot on its heels, I think, full of embellishments. But this is Elizabeth LaFour, who is famous for hooking her epic, gigantic tapestries. And this is her tapestry, not of JFK, but of his beautiful wife, Jackie, of course. So let's see. So that was Profiles in Courage. In the first line of this book, 1956. Now, John Kennedy wrote this book between 1954 and 1955. He was a junior senator, of course, from Massachusetts, so he was not yet the president. The first line of the book is, this is a book about the most admirable of human virtues, courage. That's the first line. So in his book, Profiles of Courage, he profiles 8 American patriots, mainly U.S. senators, who at crucial moments in the nation's history revealed a special sort of greatness. This sounds good, doesn't it? This sounds good right now. Men who disregarded the dreadful consequences to their public and private lives to do the one thing that seemed right in itself. They were men of various political and regional alliances. Their one overriding loyalty was to the United States. I took that off Amazon. It sounds like something that could have come off the news last night, but I took that off Amazon. So that was call number 2, Profiles in Courage. Call number 3. All right. I think this is the one that wanted to come to us last time. Let's see. Call number 3, The Illustrated Man. The Illustrated Man. Now, this was a tough one because obviously this is by Ray Bradbury. This beautiful rug is by Cindy Irwin, IRWIN, Rug Hooking, and her page is actually cindyirwinhooking.com. This piece is called Cirque du Chat, like Circus of the Cat. It was designed by Lisa Arcus, Arkus, and it was hooked by Cindy Irwin. Now, this is a hard one because this book is by Ray Bradbury, and it has a circus setting, and the illustrated man, of course, is a tattooed man. Remarkably, one of the exercises that this bingo game gave me was it showed me the holes in rug hooking where there are no rugs of a certain subject. There are no rugs with any kind of tattooed character on them. There's a hole in the market for you. If you are a designer and you have it in your head to do some hooked rugs with like tattoo inspiration, do it, because there's not a single one out there. But as a result, I was able to use this beautiful Cindy Irwin rug. So that was The Illustrated Man. All right. Again, by Ray Bradbury, one of my favorite writers, kind of a horror sci-fi writer with a great sense of humor. The first line of this 1951 book is, it was a warm afternoon in early September when I first met the illustrated man. It's a good beginning, isn't it? Lots of possibilities there. This is actually a series of 18 stories in one book. So it's a collection of short stories unfolding across the canvas tattooed skin of this person's body. Living cities take their vengeance. Technology awakens the most primal natural instinct. Dreams are carried aloft into junkyard rockets. Provocative, powerful, a kaleidoscope blending magic, imagination, and truth. An exhilarating interplanetary travel. It's one of these books that crosses genres, to say the least. It's a little bit sci-fi. It's a little bit horror. He's very intense, and he's very, very good. So that call was The Illustrated Man. Next call. Tattooed lady, yeah. All right. Oh, this is a good one. I wonder how many of you, oops, I dropped one, so I'm going to have to put that one back. I wonder how many of you have read this book that's in my hand. I'll put this back here. It's for me, it was a rough one. The Valley of the Dolls. It's a much sort of harder edge book than this picture implies. I got this picture from Rug Hooking Magazine. I was in a bit of a hurry, as I usually am, and I had to find something with dolls. This is the Valley of the Dolls. And this actually came in the November-December 2010 issue of Rug Cooking Magazine, the part of the magazine that was devoted to things that were happening outside of the U.S., the section called Beyond Our Borders. So that's where I got this beautiful picture of these three-dimensional dolls. I don't have any more information other than that's the issue it came out of, and that's a picture that I took from it. So the Valley of the Dolls. Oh, how funny, Patricia. She says, I can't believe you mentioned the tattoo rug. I'm looking through a book of 1,000 tattoos to make one for my daughter. How interesting is that? When you make it, make sure you post it online, because if anyone else, it might be under T for the. Yeah, if we're having the T for the problem and finding the alphabetical stuff. There are no rugs that feature the word tattoo. So, Patricia, yours will be the first. I'll start doing commentary on Valley of the Dolls. This is one of these super, super intense sort of late mid-century drug-themed Hollywood, kind of like an episode of Friends, but very, very, very intense and dark. I had a hard time with this just because I have a hard time with things with drugs. We're both looking for Valley of the Dolls. All right. It looks like, okay, good. We got there in the end. The Valley of the Dolls. Sorry about that. By Jacqueline Suzanne. Now, her book that I really liked, what was it? The one about the poodle. She had a beautiful little black, Goodnight Josephine or something like that. Was that it? She had a black poodle that was her great companion, and she was very eccentric. The dog had a real strong personality. I like that better than Valley of the Dolls. It didn't have drugs. It was just a comedy, more like Breakfast at Tiffany's. But Valley of the Dolls came out in 1966, and the first line of that book is, the temperature hit 90 degrees the day she arrived. New York was steaming. An angry concrete animal caught unawares in an unseasonable hot spell. So nothing good is going to happen, is it? But I think it was a movie, too, and it's just intense. It's just intense. Amazon said, at a time when women were destined to become housewives, Jacqueline Suzanne let us dream. Anne, Neely, and Jennifer became best friends as struggling young women in a New York City apartment trying to make their mark. Eventually, they climb their way to the top of the entertainment industry, only to find that there's no place left to go but down into the Valley of the Dolls. So yeah, it's not a feel-good book, but it is super dramatic and entertaining. The Valley of the Dolls. I wonder if any of you have read that. Oh, hi, Rita in Lancaster. Great to see you, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, I guess. Somebody else on from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I'm just saying, I've got a trip planned in my head heading that way in the very near future. Welcome. So let's see what our next call is going to be. All right. Oh, okay. It looks, oh no, it's definitely this one. All right. Next call. The Country of Pointed Furs. The Country of Pointed Furs. This is one of my favorite writers. But this picture is by Rochelle Stibb. Her website is called Rochelle Stibb, Fiber Artist. This is just an excerpt. I did a crop. The piece itself is called Mama Bear and Cubs, and it's a beautiful landscape with the pointed furs and a mother bear with some small bears in the foreground. This is Country of Pointed Furs. And this is by Sarah Orne Jewett. I mentioned her before, her beautiful short story about the quilt, or I think it was maybe called the patchwork quilt, in her short stories. This is one of her rare full-length novels. Very verbose, very wordy, very slow going, so you have to be in the mood for it. But a beautiful book. The first line of the book is this. There was something about the coast town of Dunnet which made it seem more attractive than any other maritime villages in eastern Maine. So there we go. She sets that up. And as the synopsis of the book said, a female writer comes one summer to Dunnet Landing, a Maine seacoast town, where she follows the lonely inhabitants of the once prosperous coastal communities. Here, lives are molded by the long Maine winters, the rock-filled fields, and the strong, resourceful women. Throughout Sarah Orne Jewett's novel and stories, these quiet tales of simpler American life capture the inspirational in the everyday, the importance of honesty, friendship, the value of family, and the value of community. Sounds very nice book, just very slow going, but a very nice book. The Country of Pointed Furs. Okay. Oh, looks like this guy right here. Oh, I think you're all going to know this one. I bet none of us have read this, but you're all going to know it. This is a weird picture because it's a latch hook. So this is Peter Pan. This is actually Tinkerbell. This is a latch hook. I just cut it badly at the top, but this is a latch hook design. It's actually done by Disney. The Disney latch hook company is called Disney Dreams, and this piece is called Tinkerbell Pillow. So the call is Peter Pan, and it's by J.M. Barrie. Have you ever seen the movie Peter Pan? If you haven't, I mean, the book is the book, and the book is great. But the new movie about Peter Pan, about Barrie himself, is a beautiful, beautiful movie. And there are some moments in there that your heart just sinks. It's so beautiful. It's overwhelming. It's a great movie. But this was written in 1911, and the first line is, "All children except one grow up." So that part we know. And it is about a mischievous boy who can fly and who never grows up, Peter Pan. He spends his never-ending childhood adventuring on the small island of Neverland and leading his gang, the Lost Boys, interacting with mermaids, Native Americans, fairies, pirates, and occasionally ordinary children from outside of Netherland. So we know that must be Wendy and her brother, right? Peter Pan. What a great book, right? Disney really took that one over. Oh, you were reading Valley of the Dolls in high school, in science class in 1968. I got caught up in Big Troubles. Yeah, it's so I read it after another book that I hope I call tonight, because I was told they were similar, and they were not similar. It was so much more dark and heavy and a bit overwhelming. It was not what I was expecting. But Good Night, Josephine, about the Black Poodle is great, and I can't recommend it highly enough. So let's do this one. Oh, you know what? No, I think it's this one right here. This one right here. This is Next Call, Cider with Rosie. Cider with Rosie. This is the little rug I gave you. This is one of these weird commercial rugs. This is actually from Amazon. The company's called Kashi, like the food Kashi people, and the rug is just called Apple Cider Rug. So this is an inexpensive welcome mat, printed. It's not really hooked. It's fake hooked, off Amazon. But the call is Cider with Rosie by Lori Lee, written in 1959. I'm going to give you the last line of this book. By the way, I have to say a huge shout out to my mom. Thank you so much. Number one, she's on right now, Helen David. Thank you so much for the idea of doing a literary twist on our rug hooking bingo. And thank you for doing all of the work. We brainstormed a bunch of titles, and then I sent a ton of titles, and she did the whole huge spreadsheet with the first and the last and the year and the author and all of the information. And I really appreciate it, because without you having done that, I would be in really big trouble right now. So I love you, Mom. Cider with Rosie. The last line is, "It was then I began to sit on my bed and stare out at the nibbling squirrels and make up poems from intense abstractions, hour after hour after unmarked hour, imagination scarcely faltering once, rhythm hardly skipping a beat, while my sisters called me, suns rose and fell, and the poems I made, which I never remembered, were the first and the last of that time." So this is another fairly heavy book. Lori Lee arrived in the village of Slad the final summer of the First World War. The cottage his mother had rented for 3 and 6 a week, that had neither running water nor electricity, but was surrounded by a lovely half-acre garden, and most importantly, it was big enough for 7 children in her care. It was here, in the verdant valley tucked into the rolling hills of the Cotswolds, that Lori Lee learned to look at life with a painter's eye and a poet's heart, qualities of vision that decades later would make him one of England's most cherished authors. So it is like, it's a post-war memoir, very famous and very, very, very good, set in the Cotswolds. Oh, good, everyone's saying thank you to my mom. She so deserves it. So that was Cider with Rosie. All right, let's see. This looks like this one. Next call, The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride. You think I could find a better picture than this? I struggled with this. I got one, it's like The Princess and the Pea, but it's a mouse. So this is not really what I was envisioning, but the book and the call is The Princess Bride. This is a beautiful picture. I took it off Kay Lefebvre's Pinterest page, and I couldn't find any more information about the author or who did it. Sorry about this. It's like a dog just bit the thing off the wheel. But if you know this design or anything more about it, put it into the comments so I can say it. But this is the Princess Bride. This represents the Princess Bride. Probably have seen the movie, but maybe not read the book, and the book really is so good. William Goldman, 1973, first line. This is my favorite book in all the world, though I've never read it. How is such a thing possible? I'll do my best to explain. Now, this is the narrator, Peter Falk, that does it in the movie, right? As a child, I had simply no interest in books. I hated reading. I was very bad at it. And besides, how could you take the time to read when there were games that shrieked for playing? Basketball, marbles. I could never get enough. So that's the beginning of The Princess Bride. And as you probably know, it's a fairy tale adventure about a beautiful woman and her one true love. He must find her after a long separation and save her. They must battle evils in a mythical kingdom called Florin in order to be reunited with each other. This tale is of true love, high adventure, pirates, princesses, giants, miracles, fencing, frightening assortment of beasts as depicted in the 1987 film directed by Rob Reiner, starring Fred Savage, Robin Wright, and others. It's a great movie. They didn't say Mandy Patinkin, but he's my favorite person in that movie. Of course, he plays the, my name is such and such, and I can't even remember the line now, but he says it about 1,000 times. Somebody killed his father or his brother, right? Mandy Patinkin. One of the great singers of all time. The Princess Bride. Mandy. All right. Oh, this is a good one. This is a book I really enjoyed. This call is Illumination Night. You know, here's another one. Tell me if you're working on a hook drug or hook drug concept with Chinese lanterns, because it's Chinese New Year, right? This is another thing I could not find. I'm trying to get you in focus. There we go. I gave you colorful candles, and that is super sloppy seconds for what I had in mind, because there were no hook drugs out there that I could find online that had anything to do with Chinese lanterns. You know the kind I mean, like the old paper ones that you hang out at night. The book is called Illumination Night, and this is actually a latch hook design. The latch hook is by a kit. I just got this. The kit is made by Ready Lady, and that is Rediy, Ladiy. That is very questionable in and of itself, but it is a latch hook kit. And the call is Illumination Night by one of my favorite authors, Alice Hoffman. She can be so different from book to book if you know her. Illumination Night, this happens on Martha's Vineyard off Cape Cod, right? One of the two islands off Cape Cod. And one night a year, they have this night where everybody puts out these beautiful like paper lanterns. And I've never been there, and it's hard to get there for that one night. The locals keep it a secret until right before they announce it. They know it, but they don't make a public announcement because they don't want crowds there. It's private. It's for the community. But the pictures I've seen of it are just unbelievably beautiful and touching, just light everywhere from lanterns. So this book refers to and centers around an illumination night. And it's by Alice Hoffman. The first line is, Simon looks out his window and sees something white moving in the window of the house next door. It is the first Saturday in July, and so hot that dragonflies light on his window ledge, too weak to fly. Now, this is a beautiful book about the Grand Illumination, the Festival of Lanterns held every summer on Martha's Vineyard. It follows the lives of a young, blonde giant who is as beautiful as he is frightening, and an old woman at the end of her life whose last mission is to save her granddaughter's soul. A family torn apart by a wife's fears and a husband's unrealized desires, and the high school girl who comes to Martha's Vineyard against her will, who steals husbands and cars, and who will bring everyone together in a web of yearning, sin, and ultimate redemption. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? But if you know Alice Hoffman books, you know miracles happen in these books, and they're so beautiful and epic in their scope, but not long. Beautiful book, Illumination Night. All right, next call, Animal Farm. Animal Farm. So this is what I've got for Animal Farm. It's a farm, as you would expect, right? How cute is that? A little primitive farm. Look at this nice border. Now, the only thing I know about this image is that this was a rug that sold on eBay, and even though I'm on eBay all the time and I've been on there forever, I couldn't find anything else about it other than it was sold. It didn't show the selling price or anything, but it was a lovely primitive rug that was on eBay. And the call is Animal Farm. George Orwell. So 1945. This is the last line. You know what? I'm going to read you the thing first, and then I'll tell you the last line because then you'll understand it and appreciate it more. The plot of the story is that a farm is taken over by its overworked, mistreated animals. With flaming idealism and stirring slogans, they set out to create a paradise of progress, justice, and equality. Thus, the stage is set for one of the most telling, satiric fables ever planned. A razor-edged fairy tale for grown-ups that records the evolution from revolution against tyranny to totalitarianism just as terrible. And here's the last line of this 1945 book by George Orwell, Animal Farm. The creatures outside looked from pig to man and man to pig and from pig to man again, but already it was impossible to say which was which. It's a great last line, right? Great. So that was Animal Farm. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Most of these are classics that we're looking at. But there's a few new ones in there, like Illumination Night. This is a great book, and I gave you a thing that didn't really go for it because, again, I could not find a book about hook drug about perfume. The call is the book Perfume. So I gave you a Hutchinson rug because, you know, I know you love Hutchinson. I like Hutchinson. I love the Hutchinsons. There was no hook drugs with bottles of perfume. I thought maybe there's a still life somewhere of a boudoir or something, somebody's little vanity shelf with some pretty perfume bottles. No. So tattoos, what was the other one I said in the middle? Chinese lanterns, perfume bottles do not exist in hook drugs. So get on it, right? But I gave you this little Hutchinson rug because I thought it had a very female flair to it. You know, pretty girl. She's having this thing. Take those lips away. I thought it was a bit enticing and enchanting in a seductive way because the book is very seductive. If you feel that you might be an uptight person, this book is not for you, but it is a fantastic book. Patrick Suskind, 1987. The first line is, in 18th century France, there lived a man who was one of the most gifted and abominable personages in an era that knew no lack of gifted and abominable personages. I wonder if you've seen this movie. The book is so good. I saw the movie and I liked it, but the book, as usual, was unbelievable. In the slums of 18th century France, the infant Jean-Baptiste Grenouille is born with one sublime gift, an absolute sense of smell. As a boy, he lives to decipher the odors of Paris and apprentices himself to a prominent perfumer who teaches him the ancient art of mixing precious oils and herbs. But Grenouille's genius is such that he's not satisfied to stop there. He becomes obsessed with capturing smells of objects such as brass doorknobs and fresh cut wood. One day he catches a hint of a scent that will drive him on an ever more terrifying quest to create the ultimate perfume, the scent of a beautiful young virgin. You probably got there ahead of me. Told with dazzling narrative brilliance, Perfume is a hauntingly powerful tale of murder and sensual depravity. So be sure that you're signed up for that if you read it. It is one of the most gorgeous books ever written, in my opinion. But it is on the fresh side. We'll just say on the fresh side. But it's a great book. Perfume. All right. Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates. The book is actually called Hans Brinker. We always say and the Silver Skates, but that's not part of the title. So, of course, you got some Dutch windmills. You know, I took this picture off of the website we always talk about, the Textile Museum of Canada. It didn't have a name. It wasn't tagged with anything. It was just from a page that's actually no longer up. When you click the link, it does it's like nothing there anymore. But the Textile Museum of Canada, and the call is Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates, written by an American author, Mary Maples Dodge, 1865. And the first line is, on a bright December morning long ago, two thinly clad children were kneeling upon the frozen bank of a canal in Holland. Just as you would expect, right? Hans Brinker, or sometimes called the Silver Skates, is a novel by an American author, first published in 1865, takes place in the Netherlands in a colorful fictional portrait of a 19th century Dutch life town, as well as the tale of youthful honor. The book's title refers to the beautiful silver skates to be awarded to the winner of an ice skating race that Hans Brinker hopes to enter. The novel introduces the Dutch sport of speed skating to Americans and to the U.S. in general. U.S. media, Hans Brinker is still considered the prototypical speed skater. So it's funny, these kinds of lasting things, and it's the thing with him putting his finger in the dike, right, to stop the water from destroying the town. All of these stories that come out of these American books that have nothing to do with reality or geography. That was Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates. All right. I think that's this one here. We got a gap right here. There's some kind of weird gravity thing going on. You know, it keeps going to that same hole.
Oh, really?
Next call, the monkey's paw. The monkey's paw. That's a funny rug, huh? Debbie Maddox, this rug. The rug is called, I found this on the I Love Rug Hooking site. Debbie Maddox, this rug is called No Evil in Paradise. And you can see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil. So I thought that was a super cute rug. The monkey's paw, it might be under T for the. Awesome, awesome, awesome. The Monkey's Paw, 1902 by W.W. Jacobs. First line, without, the night was cold and wet, but in the small parlor of Lakeston Villa, the blinds were drawn and the fire burned brightly. Doesn't that sound nice tonight? So The Monkey's Paw is a classic 3 wishes story that doubles as a horror story and a cautionary tale, reminding us that unintended consequences often accompany the best intentions. Bum, bum, bum. I haven't read The Monkey's Paw. I would love to. It sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Mixing horror and a cautionary tale. I'd go for that. All right, let's see. All right, next call, Gravity's Rainbow. Gravity's Rainbow. And you know what? Would you think it would be hard to find a hooked rug with a rainbow? Haven't you seen 100 hooked rugs with like a town or somebody's home and a beautiful rainbow over it? I have a rainbow on one of my rugs. I just realized I should have just used it, my Irish rainbow. But I couldn't find one. And so I used this rainbow pig for Gravity's Rainbow. This was on Etsy. And again, it was another thing that was showing up in the past. It's a rug that had sold in the past, so no further information. If you know anything about the rug, please let me know. Etsy gave me a dead link. But the call is Gravity's Rainbow, written by Thomas Pynchon in 1973. And the first startling line of this book is, "A screaming comes across the sky." That's it. Winner of the 1973 National Book Award, Gravity's Rainbow was a postmodern epic, a work as exhaustively significant to the second half of the 20th century as Joyce's Ulysses was the first. If you're familiar with Joyce's Ulysses, I mean, I read it just because I did literature at a graduate level. It's definitely not for everyone. And if this book is like that, if you like postmodern books that are off the wall and long-winded, I think Gravity's Rainbow is going to be one of these, but it was the book of the year. Let me know if anybody's read this, because I can't approach. Its sprawling encyclopedic narrative and penetrating analysis of the impact of technology on society make it an intellectual tour de force. You know what? If one of you reads that, you tell me all about it, because I don't think I have that intellect in me these days. I think I'm all out. But I know it's an important book. I know it's a landmark book, and I bet it's a beautiful book. Maybe it's on audiobook, right? Maybe it's on audiobook. Gravity's Rainbow. Classic. All right, next call. Oh, this is going to be one you recognize. Frankenstein. Next call, Frankenstein. Now look at this. This is a neat thing I found. 21st century rug. Now this is not a hooked rug. This is a woven rug. It's a 21st century, so literally it was just made. Woven rug. It is on First Dibs, the website called First Dibs. It's a Frankenstein. It actually goes like this. And if you have $4,625, you can buy it right now. As soon as we finish with bingo, just stick with me for bingo. You can buy this rug. $4,625. Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, written in 1818. First line, "You will rejoice to hear that no disaster has accompanied the commencement of an enterprise which you have regarded with such evil forebodings." 1818 novel written by English author Mary Shelley. Frankenstein tells the story of Victor Frankenstein, a young, doesn't it remind you of Jean Gene Wilder and Young Frankenstein. Remember Young Frankenstein? Such a funny movie. A young scientist who creates a sapient creature in an unorthodox scientific experiment. Shelley started writing the book when she was 18 years old, and the first edition was published anonymously in London in January 1818 when she was 20. Her name first appeared on the second edition, which was published in Paris in 1821. This is incredible. Love the flatness of Frankenstein. Anyone with a few dollars. I know it does have something, doesn't it, Crystal? It does. It definitely has something. He is super flat. I mean, I would love to have this in the living room. I really would. He looks really cheerful too, and he looks remarkably healthy. You know, his skin tone is quite good. It looks like there's some true blood flow happening. I'm not seeing the greenish tone that you typically see with Frankenstein. Things are going well. You know, the funny thing about Frankenstein, when I studied English literature in graduate school, I took a whole class. It was actually two classes that were about electricity in the Victorian era novel. And you would think, are there that many books that use electricity? Because it was a new thing, healing or curing problems. What was that movie that came out after that great book that guy wrote? That doesn't help at all. Something from Wellville, I think it was. It was a bit dirty and sexy, the things that he was doing with electricity and women. But there was a big trend in electricity in terms of science and what it could do to help you in real life. And there was a huge trend in books at the time that talked about scientific experiments, including stuff people would do in seances using electricity. It was a big, huge umbrella of a subject. But weirdly, in this class that I took, 2 semesters, never once was Frankenstein mentioned. And I just couldn't believe it, because obviously it's the most famous of the Victorian era books that talk about using electricity in a non-conventional way, right, to reanimate human life. I'll never forget that, but I hated that teacher and she hated me, so that was all right. All right, next call. The Green Man. The Green Man. Don't you love the Green Man? I'm going to be working on some Green Man patterns. The idea of under all the leaves, under all the burnt, crispy, dead leaves of the winter and the snow, there's the face of a man under there, and roots and life. I just love the image. I love these sort of pagan English images that we get from the British. The Green Man. Now, this is a rug that is currently on Etsy. It is a completed rug. It is not a pattern. It is on Etsy, and it is by Garden Gate Design. It is $575. It is a beautiful rug, and this is clearly The Green Man. The Green Man. So the call is The Green Man, and the book is by Kingsley Amis. I do like this book, 1965. The last line. I put on my dinner jacket, swallowed a strong whiskey, and went downstairs to begin the evening round. I love it when the end is like that, right? It's like it's bringing you to the beginning of something again. So Maurice Allington has reached middle age and is haunted by death. As he says, I honestly can't see why anybody who isn't a child, who's theoretically old enough to understand what death means, it doesn't spend all of his time thinking about it. It's a pretty arresting thought. He also happens to run his own country inn that is haunted. The Green Man opens as Maurice's father drops dead. Had he seen something in his room, right, like a haunted room, a haunted ghost, and continues as friends of the family convene for the funeral. Maurice's problems are mainly increasing. How to deal with his own declining health. How to reach out to a teenage daughter who watches TV all the time. How to get his best friend's wife in the sack. How to find another drink and another. And then there is always death. So this is a comedy way of dealing with this huge theme of mortality, done in a very funny way by Kingsley Amis. Very funny writer, very funny book, handling a huge, heavy subject, but very funny. I recommend highly. Oh, we're not even an hour in. Woohoo! All right, let's see what. Oh, I recognize this one. Next call, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now, I cropped this one, but you recognize this for sure from our Sharon Smith night a few weeks ago. We did a tribute show, a sort of memorial show to her phenomenal, unparalleled body of work. This is just the bottom part of course, it's tall, and I had to get it into this shape. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This is a Sharon Smith, the Eiffel Tower pattern, and Cushing has all Sharon Smith's patterns. The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo, 1831. First line, 348 years, 6 months, and 19 days ago, the Parisians were waked by the sound of loud peals from all the bells within the triple precincts of the city, the university, and the town. You all have ideas of what the Hunchback of Notre Dame is about, right? Now, this is really interesting. What it's really about as a book, because you know what the theme is, Quasimodo up in the bell tower, and he's got a hunchback, and it's all, he's a sinister other kind of character. But what it's really about is written in 1831. It's a French Gothic novel, and it really sort of harkens back to the values of French, traditional French culture, right? Because after the French Revolution, a lot of cathedrals, Gothic cathedrals, buildings, churches were destroyed, obviously on purpose. And a lot of people, like Victor Hugo, started to worry about France's heritage because during the 15th century, France had a glorious sort of history, this legacy of art and culture. And that had literally just died with the French Revolution and with the destruction of so many important iconic buildings. And he wanted to draw attention back to Notre Dame Cathedral. God forbid, let's not even talk about that in the fire, but draw people's attentions back to the great history, 15th century France, and all the things, all the values that it stood for. And in doing a story about a hunchback in the tall tower who's like a recluse and all out on his own, he really represents the past, and it's meant to make you think about the past and the better parts of the past at a time when everything was upside down in France. All right, next call looks like this one. The Secret Life of Bees. The Secret Life of Bees. Oh, Janice says, here in Minnesota, it's the Jolly Green Giant. Oh, interesting. Instead of the instead of the Green Man. I think that Flat Stanley joke is for Frankenstein, right? It looks like Flat Stanley. It really does. Oh, Heather said, wasn't it written by a challenge between his friends and family? Do you mean the Green Man, Heather? Because if it is, I don't know. Tell that story on the thread because I want to read it too if it was written as a challenge. That would be really funny because it's kind of about his family. I want to hear more about that. But this is The Secret Life of Bees. This is a rug, like it's a new rug. It's probably a machine hooked rug. It says hand hooked, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Annabelle Bleu, as in French spelling of blue. It's called Queen Bee. It's $70 on the Annabelle Bleu website. Cute little rug of a bee. So this is Sue Monk Kidd, The Secret Life of Bees. And the first line of this great 2002 novel is, at night I would lie in bed and watch the show, how the bees squeezed through the cracks of my bedroom wall and flew circles around the room, making that propeller sound, that high-pitched zzz that hummed along my skin. That was the first line. Set in South Carolina in 1964, The Secret Life of Bees tells the story of Lily Owens, whose life has been shaped around a blurred memory of the afternoon that her mother was killed. When Lily's fierce-hearted black stand-in mother, Rosaline, insults three of the deepest racists in town, Lily decides to spring them both free. They escape to Tiburon, South Carolina, a town that holds a secret to her mother's past. Taken in by an eccentric trio, a beekeeping sister, Lily is introduced to their mesmerizing world of bees and honeys and the Black Madonna. This is a remarkable novel about divine female power, a story that women will share and pass on to their daughters for years to come. Shame to say I have not read this book. I've read some of her other books. I don't know why I haven't read this book, but it's going to be on my bedside table immediately. It sounds fantastic. The Secret Life of Bees. Oh, Frankenstein. You know, it was a challenge. I don't think it was her family, though, because her family wasn't real happy that she was writing books. I think it was between our friends because she was, who was she married to? Not Burns, of course. She was married to one of the other great writers of the time. Oh, it'll come to me. Help me out. It's been a while, but she was in that sort of elite circle of writers, and she was the only female that was in it. And I think there was something about a train ride where they were all, I think, challenging each other. It's coming back, cobwebs, challenging each other to write like a horror story. And I feel like at least one other person did, and it's also a known book. So that one's going to take a little bit of research. We should talk about that tomorrow. Frankenstein was a family challenge stuck in the house for a period of time. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, Heather. I could definitely be thinking of something else. Interesting. I used to know a lot about Frankenstein and about Mary Shelley, but Those things go. Those things go with time. With time and kids. All right, so it looks like we might have another Sue Monk kid on our hands. I think we have another Sue Monk kid on our chair. What are the chances, right? I only have 2 Sue Monk kids. This is the mermaid chair. So right back to back. What does it mean? What does it mean? Should we all run out and buy a lottery ticket right now? That's so unlikely. Sue Monk kid, the mermaid chair. Heather, thank you for that. That's very cool info. I need to look at that. This is a honey beehive pattern. Honey Beehive, I think I mentioned them once in this episode already. Great rug hooking website, lots of different supplies. This is one of their beautiful patterns. But this represents the mermaid chair, Sue Monk Kid. So this is the prologue and first line. In the middle of my marriage, when I was above all Hugh's wife and Dee's mother, one of those ambiguous women with no desire to disturb the universe, I fell in love with a Benedictine monk. That's a hell of a start, isn't it? So inside the church of a Benedictine monastery on Egret Island, just off the coast of South Carolina, resides a beautiful and mysterious chair, ornately carved with mermaids and dedicated to a saint who, legend claims, was a mermaid before her conversion. When Jessie Sullivan is summoned home to the island to cope with her eccentric mother's seemingly inexplicable behavior, she is living a conventional life with her husband Hugh, and a life molded to the smallest space possible. Jessie loves Hugh, but once on the island she finds herself drawn to brother Thomas, a monk about to take his final vows. Amid a rich community of unforgettable island women and the exotic beauty of marshlands, tidal creeks, and majestic egrets, Jessie grapples with the tension of desire and the struggle to deny it, with a freedom that feels overwhelmingly right and with an immutable force of home and marriage. I think I have read this one like years and years ago. Another very interesting plot. Yeah, I mean, so different, right? All of that rings a bell, maybe for more than one reason. All of that rings a bell. Super interesting. But Sue Monk Kid, the mermaid chair. So I've called both of hers, Secret Life of Bees and the mermaid chair. Oh, yes. Okay. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Irma Bombach. If life is a bowl of cherries, why am I always in the pits? Have you read this book? Have you read any of Irma's books? They are the funniest book. They are as funny today as they were when she first read them. These are the funniest books of all time. These are like memoirs. So, if life is a bowl of cherry, why am I always in the pits? I gave you a close-up of an antique rug with cherries. This is an 1800s rug. It was sold by North Bayshore Antiques. It was still on their website. It sold for $800. The center is the cherries, and then you've got all this sort of marble cake striation around the side. This truly is one of the great books of all time. If you have not read it, you must order it immediately. It is so funny. This is an excerpt, or possibly the first line, 1978. Next to hot chicken soup, a tattoo of an anchor on your chest, and penicillin, I consider a honeymoon one of the most overrated events in the world. So the whole book reads like this. She is insanely funny. Again, just as much today. The enchanting lady of laughter has done it again, this time taking a hilarious swipe at husbands, honeymoons, tennis elbow, marriage, lettuce, the national anthem, and a host of other domestic dilemmas. I love this book. I also love her grass is greener on the other side of the septic tank. She has one on marriage or something, or too tired for an affair. She has one other that they're all hilarious, and she's constantly talking about her sort of long-suffering husband who has this real aversion to putting nails in the walls. It's like an ingrained thing that he was born with. She talks about her children and how her daughter. One of the funny lines I remember was when her daughter hit a certain age, she dressed. Irma thought so badly that she said, of all of the garbage that she had on, all of the jingle jangle clothing, oversized clothing and accessories, she said the only accessory she appeared to be missing was an empty gin bottle, which I thought was such a funny remark because it's very easy to see that. But her books are wonderful, and Bowl of Cherries is really, really funny. Really funny. Oh, this is a good one. Make Way for Ducklings. This is a children's book. Yeah, it's Irma with an I, but I mean, it could go either way. If you put in Bombach, for sure she comes up. She is so funny. Oh, you read it too. Christine read it as a teenager. Oh, all of her books, so funny. And it's like, it's great old humor. It has potential to not be funny, and she's very clean with her humor, so there's no real big pops of language. And she is still really, really, really funny. So this is Make Way for Ducklings. I'm showing you this little antique rug. This is a pattern I've seen many times. I don't know who the original pattern is. It's one of the oldies. It's not going to be a Pearl McGowan, but it might be an heirloom or something like that. This site is called Incollect. So one word, INCOLLECT, Incollect. It's like a website like eBay. It's one of the online sales sites. And this rug is listed for something like $800. It's certainly not worth that. This is a commercial pattern, and it's not even that old, but it's super cute. Now, Make Way for Ducklings, written by Robert McCloskey in 1941, is the state book of Massachusetts. Every state has a tree, a flower, an animal, all that stuff, but every state also has a book. And the book of Massachusetts is Make Way for Ducklings. So the first line, 1941, goes like this: Mr. and Mrs. Mallard were looking for a place to live, but every time Mr. Mallard saw what looked like a nice place, Mrs. Mallard said it was no good. So that sounds pretty familiar, right? Even in the duck world. So Mrs. Mallard was sure that the pond in the Boston Public Gardens would be a perfect place for her and her 8 ducklings to live. The problem was how to get them there through the busy streets of Boston. But with a little help from the Boston police, Mrs. Mallard and Jack, Cack, Lack, Knack, Quack, Pack, and Oack arrived safely at their new home. This is one of the cutest, sweetest children's books of all time. Timeless. You like the border on that, Liz? I do too. Nice hit or miss border on that one. Make Way for Ducklings. If you have kids or grandkids, such a cute story. Beautiful artwork too. Next call, The Clown. The Clown. Now I'm giving you a weird one here. Some of these I just could not get a lot of information on. This sold on one of the online sites again. I think it was Invaluable. Bless you, 20th century rug. So I have not seen this design before. If you have, let me know. It's not cropped. This is what the rug is. It said a clown with a drum and balls. $237 it sold for. So that's what I know about it. I haven't seen this before, but maybe you have, and then we would know that it's a commercial pattern. But The Call is a book called The Clown by Henrik Boll, Boll, ironically. And the last line of this 1965 classic book is, I put it back where it belonged and went on singing. Now, that is a great last line. That's a great first line or last line. Hans Schneier is a clown of the novel's title. He's 27 years old from a very wealthy family. At the beginning of the story, he arrives in Bonn, Germany. As a clown, he's had to travel across the country from city to city to perform as an artist. He always sees himself as an artist. His home is in Bonn, so he has to stay in hotels when he's not in Bonn. The woman he's been living with, called Marie, has left him to marry another man. Therefore, Hans has become depressed. Now, this sounds like it's going to be funny, but it's not a funny book at all. He wants to get Marie back and also has serious financial problems, so not much is going right. Hans has a mystical peculiar, you know what I mean. This is like a perfume kind of a thing. Yes. Oh my God, I give up. He can detect smells over the telephone. So it's kind of like perfume, but he can detect smells over the telephone. This is his special gift. So as he explains, he does not only suffer from depression, headaches, laziness, and this particular mystic ability, but he also suffers from his disposition, which is not good, and his sort of hatred or reluctance to be monogamous. So he's got a few problems. It doesn't sound like a person of great sort of character, but he has this mystical peculiarity, and that's part of what the the thing is about. I'm almost empty for my drink, and I don't know. Maybe that is a sign I should not have any more wine because I can't say the word peculiar. I still can't. Oh my God! But anyway. He's the clown. He is the clown, and he is very depressed. It is a German novel that was translated. I haven't read it myself. I know it's a classic, and therefore it is probably great. I have a feeling it's probably also very heavy, and it might be pretentious. I'm just saying. It might be. I don't know. But I know books of this era, and they usually are. Let us know if you've read The Clown by Henrik Boll, because it might be great. And maybe there's something else based on it, too. Oh, here we go. One of my all-time favorites. Death on the Nile. Are there other Agatha Christie fans out there? Because I have to say, I have read every single one of her books at least once. Short stories, everything, even the new ones, anything new that's written about her characters, written by other authors. I love Agatha Christie, and I always have. Caldecott Medal. Caldecott Medal. Oh, that's Make Way for Ducklings, Christine? I think that must be Make Way for Ducklings. But Death on the Nile. This was a hard one. Wouldn't you think there'd be like hooked rugs with pyramids and Egypt? There really wasn't. So I'm giving you another latch hook. This is a latch hook of Nefertiti. It's currently for sale on Etsy for $76. So it's the kit that you can make of Nefertiti. It's Death on the Nile. Book by Agatha Christie. Also was made into a great movie. This is really one of her classics, along with Murder on the Orient Express and Then There Were None. I think this is my favorite. So this is the. Okay, I'm going to give you the first line. And what's interesting about the first line is that it introduces you to the character. There's going to be a murder, who's the central character in the murder. So the first line is, Lynette Ridgway. That's her, said Mr. Barnaby, the landlord of the Three Crowns. So right off the bat, because Agatha Christie did so much with stage writing too, and plays and radio stuff, she gets right into the text of it with dialogue, and she's so good at dialogue. The tranquility of a cruise along the Nile was shattered by the discovery that Lynette Ridgway had been shot through the head. If you've seen the movie, it's rough. She was young, stylish, and beautiful, the girl who had everything until she lost her life. Hercule Poirot recalled an earlier outburst by a fellow passenger. I'd like to put my dear little pistol against her head and just pull the trigger. So that's a bit menacing, right? One would remember that kind of a thing. Yet in this exotic setting, nothing is ever quite what it seems. So this is really one of her great mysteries. It's set on a cruise ship, so everybody's like not a hostage, but they can't go, right? They're forced to stay on the boat because the boat is moving down the Nile, and they're making all these stops at the pyramids and all of these famous places in Egypt. It is a very exciting. Angela Lansbury is in the movie, but the book is great. The book is really great. Very puzzling ending if you don't know it, and you'll never, never, never guess it. But it is legitimately great. Okay, next call, The Secret Garden. The Secret Garden. So this is the sweet little picture I have for you for The Secret Garden. This is another one of these sort of mass-produced hooked rugs, right? They say hand-hooked rugs, and maybe they are hand-hooked somewhere else, but this is by a website called www.michaelian, MICHAELIAN, home.com. And this is called the Bloomer Garden Hooked Rug. Just a nice kind of bit of a Matisse going on there, right, with all the colors and the shapy shapes. Lots going on. I thought it was just a beautiful example for The Secret Garden. Another great classic, another children's book. The Secret Garden by Frances Burnett, 1911. First line, when Mary Lennox was sent to Misselthwaite Manor to live with her uncle, everybody said that she was the most disagreeable looking child ever seen. So that's a bad start. If you know this book, you know she just has it bad. Her parents, they were living in India, I think, and they died during like some kind of an epidemic. She lost both of them and everybody she knew, and she got sent back to England to live with this remote relative. And it's a sad story. The musical was great too, and it starred Mandy Patinkin. I saw that in New York when it was on. That was great. Follow Mary Lennox, yes, from India to Yorkshire, England, and watch her grow from an overprivileged child who has never tied her own shoes to a caring young woman. In her adventures, Mary meets a young man who can converse with animals, discovers and solves a hidden mystery of a secret garden, and helps her sick cousin to recover. Guided by a remarkable red robin, through her deeds and work, she grows right along with this very special garden. It is a super touching and poignant story. Super makes your heart break. It's like so touching. First book you ever read to yourself. It was a major accomplishment. My Nana sent it for my 7th birthday. You love that book. Oh, I'm so glad that I could remind you of that book. Secret Garden is a beautiful book for grown-ups, too. It's a beautiful book. Lots of sad moments, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book. Good for springtime. Ooh, that's a close one. Let's go for, I'm going to go right up here to this one. Yeah, right on the spine. Next call, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Yeah, I'll have one more little sip. A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Let me grab tea. Yeah, right here. A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. I'm going to show you this picture. Now this is gorgeous, isn't it? This is a Joan Moshimer. This is available at Cushing, and it's called Arundel Crewel, Crewel. Mom, do you remember when we were in England and we went to Arundel Castle? We did that so long ago when Dad was still alive. That was so fun. This is Arundel Crewel, Joan Moshimer, Cushing. So, let's see. Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Does anybody know this book? This is such a good book. Betty Smith, 1943. First line. Serene was a word you could put to Brooklyn, New York. So we know this is set a ways back, right? Betty Smith has captured the joys of humble Williamsburg life, from junk day on Saturdays when the children traded their weekly take for pennies to the special excitement of the holidays, bringing cause for celebration and revelry. Smith has created a work of literary art that brilliantly captures a unique time and place, as well as deeply resonant moments of universal experience. Here's an American classic that cuts right to the heart of life. Betty Smith's A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. I would love to know if anybody, oh, you remember that, Mom. Those were good our castle days. We will travel again. We will have more castle days. We enjoyed that so much. With Jessica, too, my sister, the three of us, the three musketeers, out doing our crazy adventures, drinking lots of teas and beers, right? Oh, this is a good one. Mary Roberts Reinhardt, The Bat. This call is The Bat. Now, it looks like I'm giving you an owl. It's hard to find bats, even in Halloween rugs, but you can see the owl has two bats over his shoulders. This is actually a 1930 Grenfell mat, right? This is actually a Grenfell design. This is, to me, so different. Which one did you read, Catherine? Did you read A Tree Grows in Brooklyn? Or The Bat? So this is Mary Roberts Reinhardt. She's one of my favorite American writers. I don't like her as much as Agatha Christie just because she uses too many words. And I don't mean big words or hard words. I mean, it's too much sometimes. It's just the style of writing and the era of writing. This was written in 1926, The Bat. This is an excerpt. The Bat. They called him the Bat. Like a bat, he chose the night hours for his work. Of rapine, like a bat, he struck and vanished pouncingly, noiselessly. You see what I mean? Like a bat, he never showed himself to the face of day. That's pretty signature of the way that she writes, but her stories are super solid, and she is a wonderful mystery writer. The story combines elements of mystery and comedy as Cordelia Van Gorder and guests spent a stormy night at her rented summer home, searching for stolen money they believe is hidden in the house, while they are stalked by a masked criminal known as, you guessed it, the Bat. The Bat's identity is revealed in the final act. This is actually a play. So it's available obviously as a book, but it's dialogue because it's written as a play. So that call was Mary Roberts Reinhardt, The Bat. Her classic is The Circular Staircase, which is totally a classic. But the call was The Bat. Thank you for the refill. Are you going to say remind everybody to like, subscribe, and share and all that?
No, I was going to say ask how the cards are going.
Oh, yeah. Ask how the cards are. How are the cards going? Catherine, you read Tree Grows in Brooklyn. That is good. That is a good book. I'm so happy to see that people are reading some of the calls I'm making. All right, is anybody getting close? I mean, we have quite a few calls left, but I gave a lot of extra calls this time. I usually do 52 subjects. This time I think I did 65. So we should have fewer winners, which makes it a bigger pot for those who win. The next call, last call was the bat. This call is the cat. And this is what your thing looks like. I know you probably are thinking I should have used a picture of a cat, but wait till you hear the first line. And look at this beautiful rug that is evocative of a poker game. And there's a reason why. And look at the braiding on this rug. This is I found this on a website. It wasn't clear whether it was for sale or what, but it was cherrygallery.com. Cherrygallery.com. And the call is The Cat by Colette, the French author Colette. The full name is Gigi and the Cat, not to be confused with Gigi. So, The Cat, first line, 1953. Towards 10 o'clock, the family poker players began to show signs of weariness. That's why I gave you the poker cards. Set in Paris in the 1930s, and although a cat, more precisely a 3-year-old chartreuse cat called Saha, plays the central role in it, kind of like Breakfast at Tiffany's, right? This short classical novel couldn't be less close to a fable or fairy tale than it is. The main protagonists are Alain, Camille, a young couple who are about to get married. And Elaine is an introverted 24-year-old bourgeois who loves his carefree life at his mother's house. I'm going to need the next page of this one, too. Oh, okay, cool. His habits and his cat, Saha. Camille, on the other hand, is a bold, energetic young woman of 19 who wants her husband to be completely belonging to her alone and to share her desires. Between them stands the cat, Saha, the purring link to Elaine's solitary past and the furry obstacle to their common future. So you can see how this cat is going to get between this couple in this story. The story is The Cat by Colette. Nice little comedy story. So let's see. All right. Next call, The Zookeeper's Wife. The Zookeeper's Wife. Now this pattern I'm showing you I think is a great pattern. Again, Honey Beehive. I go to them a lot just because they have so much and they're so good. Honey Beehive. This is called Primitive Zoo Animals. If you're interested in this pattern, you can buy it there. It's probably under T. The Zookeeper's Wife.
The T is for everybody.
Yeah.
It should be on that page.
It should. We're struggling with The Zookeeper's Wife just because of the T and the. I should have taken all of the articles out so we could go right to. We'll get there. I'm going to look through some. Let's see. To Monkey's Paw. We did a bunch of these. Secret Garden. To the Lighthouse. The Zookeeper's Wife, right here. Diane Ackerman, 2007. First line. At dawn, in an outlying district of Warsaw, sunlight swarmed around the trunks of blooming linden trees and crept up the white walls of the 1930s stucco and glass villa where the zoo director and his wife slept in a bed crafted from white birch, a pale wood used in canoes, we've had that before on trivia, tongue depressors, and Windsor chairs. This is actually a true story, The Beekeeper's Wife. Another great book and movie. Liz, you're talking about The Beekeeper's Wife. I haven't read it or seen the movie, so I'm gonna have to read it first, I guess. This is what Amazon said. After their zoo was bombed, Polish zookeepers Jan and Antonia Zabinski managed to save over 300 people from the Nazis by hiding refugees in empty animal cages. I didn't even read this. I just cut and pasted. That is incredible. I've never heard this. With animal names for these guests, the human names for the animals, it's no wonder that the zoo's code name became The House Under a Crazy Star. Best-selling naturalist and acclaimed storyteller Diane Ackerman combines extensive research and exuberant writing style to recreate this fascinating true-life story, sharing Antonia's life as a zookeeper's wife while examining the disturbing obsessions at the core of Nazism. So I'm guessing it has potential to be heavy in parts, but that is, you saw the movie, didn't read the book. I bet the movie's great. Okay, great. See, this is going to be a great recommendation for me, too, because I've heard of it, but I don't know it. Very happy to get something for my bedside table, too. I'm getting pop-ups on my screen, so hopefully that's not bad. Web root keeps popping up. I'll give them a web root. All right, it looks like this one. Another Ray Bradbury. This is The Halloween Tree. The Halloween Tree. I love this book. This is maybe not his best book for grown-ups, but I really loved it. It's very lyrical and poetical. This rug I'm showing you is an Amazon rug. It's not a fine rug. It's on Amazon. It's called the Trick or Treat rug. It's actually sold out at the moment, but it's going to be like a welcome mat for the thing. I just thought that the image was really good of a Halloween tree. This is a great Ray Bradbury story. It's really for young adults, I think, maybe 8, 9, 10, early teens. There's not a lot to it, but it is a beautifully written book. 1972, the last line, suddenly the day was gone. Night came out from under each tree and spread. Such an interesting story. Joined the shadowy Carapace clavicle Mond Shroud, that's a character, as he takes 8 trick-or-treaters through an unforgettable journey to find their missing friend Pip. Travel through space and time from the tombs of ancient Egypt to the gargoyles of Notre Dame Cathedral, all the way to the cemeteries of Mexico and the Day of the Dead. Is Pip still alive? And if so, can his friends save him from his ghastly fate before it's too late? It really, the whole story revolves, it's a very short novel, revolves around this Halloween tree. And it's it's just like it says, travels through time and space. It takes you to different moments in history, and Pip is there at all of them. So in that way, it's a bit of a fantasy story, but it's like all Ray Bradbury stories. It's beautifully written. It's very eloquent, very lyrical. If you love poetry, if you love words, The Halloween Tree is going to be a book that you will love just because it's a gorgeous book to read. All right, next call. The Awakening. The Awakening. Now, I'm going to give you this one because of the line that I'm going to read. I probably would have done better with an ocean. If you know this book, you know what I mean. But this call is The Awakening. Liz says, we go away with more ideas for hooking patterns and more books to read. I need more hours in the day too, right? But it's good. It's good to get good leads for books because everything is connected, right? Books, work, hands, ears, everything. It's all connected. So I'm hoping that you find some good ones. Zookeeper's Wife is my next one. The Awakening. So if you know this book, this is a tough book. I don't want to give too much away. I know this book really well. Kate Chopin, who's one of the great feminist writers, written in 1899. The last line of the book, there was the hum of bees and the musky odor of pinks filled the air. The Awakening is a short book or a novella, originally entitled The Solitary Soul, is a novel by Kate Chopin, first published in 1899, set in New Orleans and southern Louisiana coast at the end of the 19th century. The plot centers on Edna Pontellier and her struggle to reconcile her increasingly unorthodox views on femininity and motherhood with the prevailing social attitudes of the turn of the century in the American South. It is one of the earliest American novels that focuses on women's issues without being condescending. It is also widely seen as a landmark work in early feminism, generating mixed reaction from contemporary readers and critics. So I will say, without giving anything away, this is a great book. It's a great read. It is the ultimate feminist book, but it's hard to take. It's hard to take. If you like a happy book and you like a feel-good book and you're reading it on your bedside table and stuff that's heavy and disturbing isn't for you, then this book is not for you, but it is a great classic, and it's a great feminist book. We must be getting close with some people here. So let's see. I have got James and the Giant Peach. James and the Giant Peach. I took this image off of at the Etsy store. You probably know this one, Two Old Crows, a rug hooking store. They have beautiful stuff. It's an image of Georgia peaches. This is from Two Old Crows on Etsy. James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl, 1961. First line, until he was 4 years old, James Henry Trotter had a happy life. He lived peacefully with his mother and father in a beautiful house beside the sea. So, now I'm reading Amazon's thing or Wikipedia's. After James Henry Trotter's parents are tragically eaten by a rhinoceros, he goes to live with his two horrible aunts, Spiker and Sponge. Life there is no fun until James accidentally drops some magic crystals by the old peach tree and strange things start to happen. The peach at the top of the tree begins to grow, and before long it's as big as the house. Inside, James meets a bunch of oversized friends, grasshopper, centipede, ladybug, and more. With a snip of a stem, the peach starts rolling away, and the great adventure begins. Like all Roald Dahl books, it is a great book. Even my little Teddy likes this book, and he's not a great reader. But what a beautiful children's book, and what fun for adults. James and the Giant Peach. Oh, my favorite book of all time. You're going to change your opinion of me, but it's Peyton Place. The next call is Peyton Place. This is my absolute favorite book of all time. I love it. Not for kids. Definitely not for kids. Everybody knows this book was famously banned. Grace Metalius famously banned for being lewd, for talking about rape, incest. It's intense. But it is a beautifully written book about a New Hampshire town, based on the town where she lived herself, and the secrets that people keep in these small communities. It is a wonderful book, and it has one of my favorite first lines of all time. Here it is, 1956. Indian summer is like a woman, hot, ripe, passionate, but fickle. She comes and goes as she pleases, so that one is never really sure whether she'll come at all. nor for how long she will stay. So it is just a gorgeous book. If you don't like, and I don't like icky books, I don't like the drug Valley of the Dolls thing. This is the book that when I read it, somebody recommended Valley of the Dolls to me. This kind of book I could take, even though there was some hard stuff in it with families and incest, and it's hard. But the overarching idea of the book is the community and this one girl's sort of um, trajectory to sort of get out. So Grace Metalius skillfully exposes the intricate social anatomy of a small community, examining the lives of its people, their passions, their vices, their ambitions, their defeats, their passivity, their violence, their secret hopes, and their kindnesses, their cohesiveness and their rigidity, their struggles, and sometimes their courage. This book is so good, and there are so many contemporary books written about Peyton Place that give you social context and historical context about when it was written, New Hampshire at that time, what people were like. And it is so interesting to read those books and to read what Grace Metalius wrote afterward about how so many people from all over the country, all over the world, not just the country, wrote when this book came out and said, I thought you were writing about my town. I felt like naked. I thought you were writing about my town, because the same things were happening all over the place. It was just she had the nerve to write about this in the 1950s. Famously banned everywhere, but it is a great book. It became a series too with Mia Farrow, right? I never watched the series, but I loved the book. Next, called Giovanni's Room. Giovanni's Room. You remember the book and then the TV show. Okay, good. So the book even more, because it's just Grace Metalius is Return to Peyton Place is also great, but the original Peyton Place, the language is just beautiful. It's a beautifully written book, and Return to Peyton Place is even harder to take because more bad things happen. I never watched the show, but I probably should. I did this book in my book club right before 2020. I had a book club in town, and we met at a video store, and this was one of the books that I chose for us to discuss. It was called the Silver Screen Book Club, and I would pick a book every month, and we would read the book and then watch the movie. So it was a book that had a movie, and we would first talk about the book, and then we would watch the movie together. And most of us had not seen the movie; we'd only read the book. So we would talk through the movie and laugh through the movie, and they served like drinks and coffee and stuff at the video store. Proper video store. It was so fun. And this is one of the books that I did, and we watched the movie together, and we just enjoyed it so much. Although it was really hard to take, there was so much to say about it because it was such a landmark book. This call is Giovanni's Room. Now, this image is, I needed something in France, like in rural France. This is Mont Saint Michel, if you recognize it. So this is not really rural France. This is Mont Saint Michel. This is an island that when the tide goes out, it becomes an island. And then when the tide comes in, it's no longer, sorry, other way around, no longer an island. But this is from Rug Hooking Magazine. And this is by Judith McLean in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. She did this in 2013. Beautiful picture of a beautiful hooked rug of Mont Saint Michel. And the call is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, 1956. First line, as I stand at the window of this great house in the south of France as night falls, the night which is leading me to the most terrible morning of my life. Foreshadowing. Not very subtle, is it? But I wonder if anybody's read this. I have not read this. In the 1950s, Paris was filled with American expatriates, liaisons, violence, and a young man finds himself caught between desire and conventional morality. With a sharp, probing imagination, James Baldwin's now classic narrative delves into the mystery of loving and creates a moving, highly controversial story of death, passion, that reveals the unspoken complexities of the human heart. That sounds epic, doesn't it? Have not read it. I wonder if any of you have read it. And I wonder if any of you are getting closer, because look, our wheel is getting a bit bare. Giovanni's Room. Oh, this is a nice book. I read this a while ago. I think I read this when it first came out. The Witch of Blackbird Pond. Oh no, I'm confusing it with an Alice Hoffman. Don't mind me, but the call is The Witch of Blackbird Pond. And look at this beautiful little rug here. It's not really little in real life. Do you remember in the video I did when I went to Mill River Rugs in Florence, Massachusetts, which is near Northampton, Massachusetts? I did a tour of the shop, and it was just super, super fun. That video is on the Ribbon Candy Hooking channel. This rug is from Mill River Rugs. So if you haven't watched that video or haven't watched it lately, go back and watch it, because it's a super great tour of an amazing shop. Tons of beautiful rugs and designs, that one included. So the call is I already forgot.
Ready, ready.
Elizabeth George Spear, The Witch of Blackbird Pond, 1958. First line. On a morning in mid April 1687, the brigantine Dolphin left the open sea, sailed briskly across the Sound to the wide mouth of the Connecticut River and into Saybrook Harbor. So, this book, again, written 1958, 16-year-old Kit Tyler is marked by suspicion and disapproval from the moment she arrives on the unfamiliar shores of colonial Connecticut in 1687. Alone and desperate, she's been forced to leave her beloved home on the island of Barbados and join a family she's never met. Torn between her quest for belonging and her desire to be true to herself, Kit struggles to survive in a hostile place. Just when it seems she must give up, she finds a kindred spirit. But Kit's friendship with Hannah Tupper, believed by the colonists to be a witch, proves more taboo than she could have imagined, and ultimately forces Kit to choose between her heart and her duty. I think this Witch book is great. Read multiple times. Oh, Christine, you read that one too. Um, yeah, I can't remember if I've read this one. I have the feeling it's associated like as a young adult book, which doesn't mean it's not readable now. I'd love to read it now. But my association or connotation is that it is like a young adult book. Um, I feel like it got the Newbery Prize or something like that, but it sounds like a wonderful book. It sounds like Kit has to make a horrible choice, and I hope she makes the choice to stand by her friend. And I hope the friend doesn't get killed, because those kinds of things I don't do well with. The Witch of Blackberry Pond. Next call. Oh, this is one of my favorites. This is one of the funniest, not memoir books of all time. Cold Comfort Farm. Have you read Cold Comfort Farm, Stella Gibbons? It is, if you have not, it is so good. You're going to want to read all of Stella Gibbons. It's also a movie, and it stars one of my close friends growing up, Casper Jones. His dad starred in this movie. He was the old man who plays the main role. Freddie Jones is his name, but Cold Comfort Farm is a super funny movie, but you must read the book. This image, before I forget, is by the Tin Bin. It's what's it called? It's called Farm Life, and the pattern is $70. So if you go on Etsy and check out the Tin Bin, it's a beautiful primitive pattern. Sorry for that giant piece of tape, but $70 for the pattern. Really pretty. Newbery Prize. Okay, good, good. That's what I thought. I'd still really like to read it. So Cold Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons, super funny. Uh, this is the first line. The education bestowed on Flora Post by her parents had been expensive, athletic, and prolonged. And when they died within a few weeks of each other, during the annual epidemic of influenza or Spanish plague, which occurred in her 20th year, she discovered to possess every art and grace save that of earning her own living. So she is in this class. This is written in 1932. She's in this leisure class of the British sort of elite. And she has no skills. She has education, but she has no skills. And she goes in the book, at 22 years old, she moves in to Cold Comfort Farm, where her very distant, very poor, very eccentric relatives live. I mean, it is like pioneer days. It's like traveling back in time. And it is super funny, her horrible integration or lack of into this lifestyle at the farm. It's just sort of a comedy of errors. It's a very gentle British comedy. Super, super laugh out loud funny. Cold Comfort Farm. You'll love it if you don't know it. At least watch the movie. It's really good. Cold Comfort Farm. All right, next call. Goldfinger. He's the man. The man with the Midas touch, right? So you'll figure out why I've got the airplanes on this one. No James Bond rugs out there either. This this is a hand-hooked rug. It was on the Live Auctioneer's website, and it sold for $80. So it's been and gone. I don't know if this is a commercial pattern, but this represents the book called by Ian Fleming called Goldfinger. First line, 1959. James Bond, with 2 double bourbons inside him, sat in the final departure lounge of the Miami airport and thought about life and death. Great line, right? Have you ever read the Ian Fleming books? Because, I love James Bond, and I love the James Bond movies, and I always have, particularly Live and Let Die, my all-time favorite. I like Goldfinger, but I love Live and Let Die. The books are great, too. It's really a good read. He really was a good writer. Auric Goldfinger is the richest man in England. Though his wealth can't be found in banks, he's been hoarding vast stockpiles of his namesake metal, meaning gold, and it's attracted the suspicion of 007 superiors at M16. Sent to investigate, Bond uncovers an ingenious gold smuggling scheme, as well as Goldfinger's most daring caper yet, Operation Grand Slam, a gold heist so audacious it could bring down the world economy and put the fate of the West in the hands of Schmerz. This is all in the movie, too. To stop Goldfinger, Bond will have to survive a showdown with the sinister millionaire's henchman, Odd Job, a tenacious karate master who can kill him with one well-aimed, razor-rimmed bowling hat. Do you remember when Odd Job would like throw his bowler hat like a frisbee, and it would like cut someone's head off? It is a great movie. It is a really good movie. Music from James Bond movies were great. I used to have, is that Shirley Bassey that did Goldfinger? That was somebody with a really loud, I think it was Shirley Bassey. And I always loved Carly Simon's Nobody Does It Better, and Paul McCartney, of course, Live and Let Die. But there were some really good James Bond themes in there, and you can get them all on CD now or whatever, download them. But they're all there. Dr. No. You know, I saw Dr. No, but I don't remember the plot of that one as well. That's like the first one, right? I think that's the first one. It's funny that sort of everybody has a different opinion, of course, on the evolution of the Bonds. But to me, Roger Moore was always the Bond. I know other people feel that it was Sean Connery, but for me, I grew up with Roger Moore, and that was when I discovered the Bond movies, and he was in Live and Let Die. And I thought he was the most handsome and the most like Remington Steele. So he was always the one I liked until I saw Darby O'Gill in The Little People with Sean Connery, and then I second guessed it, right? Sean Connery died late last year, too. He was one of the people who died in 2020. But anyway, The Call Was for Goldfinger. Great book. All those Ian Fleming books. Good reads. Next call. Oh, this is another rough one. To the Lighthouse. Virginia Woolf. To the Lighthouse. Along the same lines as Kate Chopin's Awakening. Ian Fleming's Places. Okay, To the Lighthouse. Sorry, I'm catching up on my reading there. This is a beautiful lighthouse. This is actually Portland Headlight in Portland, Maine. This is a 1954 rug. It's a Pearl McGowan design. Believe it or not, this sold on WorthPoint, the website WorthPoint, for $83. I mean, look at this thing. This is Portland Headlight. But this Pearl McGowan represents the book To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. Again, if you do not like heavy, then you are not going to like this book, but it is a classic, 1927. First line, yes, of course, it's a fine day tomorrow, said Mrs. Ramsay. Radiant as To the Lighthouse is in its beauty, there could be no mistake about it. Here is a novel to the last degree severe and uncompromising. I think that beyond being about the very nature of reality, it is itself a vision of reality. That's Eudora Welty describing the book To the Lighthouse. She writes the introduction for the latest edition. The serene and maternal Mrs. Ramsay, the tragic yet absurd Mr. Ramsay, and their children and assorted guests are on holiday on the Isle of Skye. From the seemingly trivial postponement of a visit to a nearby lighthouse, Woolf constructs a remarkable, moving examination of the complex tensions and alliances of family life and the conflicts between men and women. Heavy and deep, but she is a fabulous writer. You must know Virginia Woolf. She's a fabulous writer. Place where Ian Fleming is. So,
She do there. Look, 2 comments up.
oh, 2 comments up. Oh, you drove. Oh my God, Kira, I dove into the water at Ian Fleming's beach place in Jamaica. So like scuba diving, like that kind of diving. That sounds amazing. That is so neat. I didn't know he had a place in Jamaica. I guess Jamaica was once like a British province, right? So that would make a lot of sense, or a colony or whatever. Oh, interesting. How neat. Kira, I didn't know this about you. How neat is that? I need to know more about that. That is so cool. See, when you talk about books, you talk about anything, all the things it brings up, and different people can add different things and different memories. It's so nice, isn't it? Just being together is so nice. It's our Friday night thing. All right, let's see. Oh, I love this book, too. This is a big drug book. Daphne du Maurier, The House on the Strand. The call is The House on the Strand. But first, you must look at this beautiful, come on, hook drug. You might have seen this on Etsy. I absolutely love this. I keep going back to this. It's in my favorites. It's called, the shop is called Mimi's Fun Stuff. This is a finished hook rug for $700. I really love this rug. I really want this rug. I really want it. This is one that I keep coming back to. I'm always worried about money, but I love it. It's just beautiful. Mimi's Fun Stuff. Someone's going to buy it now, right? I shouldn't have done it. But if you love it too, then you should have it. So the book is The House on the Strand. This is the first Daphne du Maurier book I read. Of course, we love Rebecca, right? And Frenchman's Creek and Jamaica Inn. And I mean, all of her books are great. But The House on the Strand is really different. And if you're thinking that you love Daphne du Maurier, you still might not love House on the Strand because it has a lot of drug references and overarching threads that run through it. It was published in 1969, so this is one of her later books for sure. I'm going to first read you the description of it, so it leads into the first line. When Dick Young's friend, Professor Magnus Lane, offers him an escape from his troubles in the form of a new drug, Dick finds himself transported to 14th century Cornwall. So it's a time travel book. It sounds corny, but it really is so well written, it's not corny. There, in the manor of Tywardreath, the domain of Sir Henry Tremperhon, he witnesses intrigue, adultery, and murder, so things that happened in the past. The more time Dick spends consumed in the past, the more he withdraws from the modern world, which is also like a metaphor for being on drugs, right? You withdraw from what's around you because he becomes obsessed with these crimes and the murder that he sees in the past, which is like a story within a story, right? It's super, super, super well written and interesting. With each dose of the drug, his body and mind become more addicted to the other world. More metaphors, and his attempts to change history bring terror to the present and put his own life in jeopardy. So this is the overarching story. It's like this is the launching point for the book, is that he's taking an experimental drug, and it's the era of book that it's written in. But in doing so, it runs a story within a story of this murder that took place years ago, and it's almost like a Brother Catterfield kind of mystery, and it's a very solid mystery, very interesting, and very well written. And the first line of the book, I'll never forget, the first line is, the first thing I noticed was the clarity of the air and then the sharp green color of the land. Because it's like a thing in the book with the amount of drugs that are being mentioned and used in the book. One of the things that comes into focus to him is color. Everything is so clear, and that's a hard thing for him to give up as he starts to struggle in the book with addiction. It's not a metaphor, it's a mystery. But it does have that element. So if you don't like that, you might not like this Daphne du Maurier, maybe a different one. But it is a wonderful book. Please like the video. Jay's reminding me. Please like the video. Like, comment, subscribe, everything to keep the channel going. No, Hamden House Collectibles. We live in the town of Hamden. Is Jay's business. He sells antiques and he runs antique auctions constantly, 2 or 3 a month these days. So that's his site. And we share this space here, but he's got the antique business, and he's right here helping me with tonight, so everything works well. But that, it's Hamden with a D. So Daphne du Maurier, The House on the Strand. So good. So, really, so good. And you know what? I have to say it before I forget, Mom, I'm so upset with myself that I did not put in Dad's favorite first line of any book of all time that he said it every time we got together, at every party, every holiday. My dad's favorite first line of a book was The Gabriel Hounds by Mary Stuart. I don't think he was a particular Mary Stuart fan, but The Gabriel Hounds is a fantastic book. And the first line that he always talked about, this is it. She met him on a street named Straight. And he used to bring that up all the time. Impossible, like, to bring it up as many times as he did. But it was a wonderful. Oh, this is a different Hamden House. I thought that was a typo. Okay, so yeah, Crossing Wires. I grew up at Hampden. Okay. Oh, okay. So Kira grew up in a house with a similar name.
Yeah.
With a P in it too. Yeah. I met him on a street named Straight. I didn't use Mary Stuart tonight, but if you're looking for a great book, grab The Gabriel Hounds. Mary Stuart's books are a little bit cookie cutter, right? She's like a real estate novelist, but she is so good. And Gabriel Hounds is so good. That was my dad's favorite. I think I spun, right? So I'm going to cut. Let's cut right here. I just had to say that, Mom, before I forgot, because I can't believe I forgot to put that book in here. She met him on a street named Straight. It was such a good first line. Next call, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And isn't that a nice one? This is from an Etsy store called The Old Loft. So if you like this pattern, go on to Etsy, The Old Loft. And this represents the book called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It should be under T for 20, I think. Maybe. Yes, okay. So we were wondering if it was written in number, but it's not. It's spelled out. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Jules Verne, first published in 1870. First line. The year 1866 was marked by a strange event, an unexplainable occurrence which is undoubtedly still fresh in everyone's memory. Dun, dun, dun. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is a classic science fiction novel by the French writer Jules Verne, published in 1870. It tells the story of Captain Nemo and his submarine, the Nautilus, I bet you got it, as seen from the perspective of Professor Pierre Aronnax after he, his servant Conseil, and the Canadian whaler Ned Land wash up on their ship. On the Nautilus, the three embark on a journey which has them going all around the world under the sea. So this is one of the great sci-fi novels of all time. This is going to be an easy one to take. It doesn't cross with fantasy. It's straight sci-fi. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, absolute classic by Jules Verne, right? Oh, this is a good one too. This is one of my favorite mysteries. The Red House Mystery. The Red House Mystery. And I'm showing you a red house. This was actually something from a website, an antiques website, Antiques at the Old Church. It's David Mancuso's antique store. This is his website. And this is a real primitive old rug. I don't know if it's for sale or it's sold, but David Mancuso Antiques, and his website is Antiques at the Old Church. And the call is The Red House by, and you're going to be surprised by this, A.A. Milne, who is the author of the Winnie the Pooh stories. Now, this is his first stab at a mystery. It is one of the great mysteries of all time, and it's the last one that he did, sadly. So, The Red House Mystery, 1922, the first line. In the drowsy heat of the summer afternoon, the red house was taking its siesta. There was a lazy murmur of bees in the flower borders, a gentle cooing of pigeons in the tops of elms, and from distant lawns came the whir of a mowing machine, that most restful of all country sounds, making ease the sweeter in that it is taken while others are working. It's a great first line, right, with lots of semicolons. So A.A. Milne, if you disassociate him from the Winnie the Pooh stories, obviously, which are super important, but he did a lot of other writing too, but this was his only mystery, his first and final venture into detection and mystery. He had one great idea for a mystery, and man, he hit it out of the park with this mystery. It is a great book. I love Agatha Christie. If you love Agatha Christie, you are going to love this book. It's exactly in the vein of. So, his one and only venture into the mystery genre, despite its immediate success and an offer of £2,000 for his next mystery novel, he didn't take it, and he never wrote another mystery. The story is set in a quaint English countryside at the house party of Mark Ablett, where a murder immediately takes place. Milne lets his readers inside the head of the amateur detective, disregarding the cliched romance or violence of the other detective novels, as the mystery becomes a puzzling sort of parlor game for the novel's characters and readers alike. It really is a good solid. If you like a good solid mystery that is fair, meaning you could actually guess the ending, there's not something you don't know or you're not told, or someone's related to someone, or this medical condition existed and you don't know it and you've never heard of it. It's not one of those. It has a good solid ending. So how close are you all? I'm guessing you're getting pretty close. Let me know how many more spaces you're waiting for. So that was the red house. Sounds like there's a circus going on out there.
It's a plow.
Oh, it's the plow. Okay. All right, next call, Ironweed. Ironweed. I like this one for Ironweed. Look at that. I want to get into doing some graveyard type stuff like this. Beautiful. www.wncrughooking.com. And this website is called the Home of the Tar Heel Ruggers and the Merry Mountain Hookers. Oh, relentless death. Beautiful, like nice old gravestone hooked. So the call is Ironweed. Ironweed, where are you? Yep, William Kennedy, 1983. First line. Riding up the winding road of St. Agnes Cemetery in the back of the rattling old truck, Francis Fellon became aware that the dead, even more than the living, settled down in neighborhoods. Isn't that an interesting start? Settle down in neighborhoods as if they could help it, right? 4 away, 6 away, 5 away. Oh, you're getting dangerously close. This is a Pulitzer Prize. What are you doing? Winning novel, the third of Kennedy's Albany cycle. So it's the third in a cycle. Francis Fellon, ex-ball player, part-time grave digger, and full-time bum with the gift of the gab, has hit bottom. Years earlier, he's left Albany after he dropped his infant son accidentally and the boy died. Oh, God, I didn't read that part. Now, in 1938, Francis is back in town, roaming the familiar old streets with his hobo pal, Helen, trying to make peace with the ghosts of past and present. I know this was a movie, like with Sigourney Weaver or Meryl Streep or something like that, right? 1,000. Penny, you have 1,000 left. You're not doing well. Ironweed. Has anybody read it or seen it? I mean, I've heard of it and I've never gotten into it, but now I know about the accidental death of the son. I don't know if it's for me. All right. Oh, this is a nice light one. Death by Darjeeling. Death by Darjeeling.
Saying I can move the cars.
Are you going to go move the cars?
Just let him move them so we can just plow where we are.
Okay, yeah, if you want to. The guy is plowing outside, so we're talking about moving the cars while I'm doing the show. I'd keep going, but Jay would go move our cars because the plow is coming through the parking lot. It's crazy snowy. So Death by Darjeeling. And what I wrote about this is from a website called, or blog called Everything But the House. It's called Teapot Rug and it's $60. So it's probably like a manufactured rug, right? For $60. But man, is that pretty. Look at all those. You know, it has this sort of yellowy ivory color, parchmenty, all those teapots on it. That's the kind of color it was on the internet. You've read Ironweed. Is it a hard one, Catherine? Is it a tough one to read? Because I like the thing about the living and the dead and making peace, and I'm sure there's tons of metaphors in there. But I don't like the part about having the son that died because you did something by accident. That's a bit hard to take, especially when you have a sweet little boy, you know. But Death by totally opposite, polar opposite. Death by Darjeeling by Laura Childs, extremely light. I do listen to her books on audio that, you know, I get them from the library, Hoopla. You can download all kinds of books. But Death by Darjeeling is a tea shop mystery. It's a series. And the main character is called Theodosia Browning. And the first line is, Theodosia Browning leaned back from the clutter of her antique wooden desk, balanced a bone china cup and saucer on one knee, took a much-needed sip of Lung Ching tea, and savoring the emerald green color and the delicate sweetness, she absently pushed back a meandering lock of her naturally curly auburn hair that swirled around her head, creating a haloed visage somewhere between a Raphael painting and a friendly Medusa. That's a lot, isn't it? But these are very cute. These are not Agatha Christie's. These are very, very cute and very atmospheric. If you like a cozy mystery, this is certainly in that genre. I do like them. I've listened to all of them. I think they're very gratifying when, you know, you're hooking or whatever and you're listening in the background. It's tea for 200 or so at the annual historical Holmes Garden Party. Theodosia, as the event caterer, is busy serving steaming teas and blackberry scones while guests sing her praises. But the sweet smell of success turns to suspense when an esteemed guest is found dead, his hand clutching an empty teacup. Trouble is brewing, and all eyes are on Theodosia. Of course they are, because it's always about her, isn't it? It's never about anybody else. But it is, I mean, these are cute books. These are cute books. They're for funsies. You read many of his books in Albany books near Great Barrington. Okay, that makes sense. I'm still curious about it. I'm still curious. So we went from Ironweed to Death by Darjeeling. That's the way we roll tonight, right? Oops. Oh no, my clicker came off. Look. Oh no, Jay's gone. So I'm going to have to just put it in Oh, God, how am I going to do this? Malfunction, malfunction. Okay, hang on, guys. Hang on. We got this. I can do this, right? I'm not a complete idiot. I can put this in the hole. There we go, I did it. Oh, it's not really doing its thing, is it? Good enough. Holy mackerel. That was something. All right, let's see. Who's it pointing us toward? I think it's pointing us here. Main Street. Main Street. Let me grab it while he's out moving the cars. Let me grab it. Main Street by Sinclair Lewis. Let me show you the little rug that I chose here. Now, this is another one I found online from Thomaston Galleries. It's an auction gallery. Thomaston Place Auction Galleries. It's called Main Street, Maine. This was hooked in 1920. It didn't say whether it had sold. It said that it wasn't current, but it didn't say whether it had sold. It shows like a little barber shop, a little store, looks like a little laundry. Someone's certainly doing their laundry up on top. But this is Main Street, Maine, 1920. I just thought it was a beautiful little image. And that is meant to represent Sinclair Lewis's Main Street, written in 1920. The first line, on a hill by the Mississippi, where Chippewas camped for 2 generations ago, a girl stood in relief against the cornflower blue of the northern sky. Beautiful, huh? So the first of Sinclair Lewis's great successes, Main Street shattered the sentimental American myth of a happy small town life with its satire of narrow-minded provincialism. Reflecting his own unhappy childhood in Sauk Center, Minnesota, Lewis's sixth novel attacked the conformity and the dullness he saw in Midwestern village life. Young college graduate Carol Milford moves from the city to tiny Gopher Prairie after marrying the local doctor and tries to bring culture to a small town, but her efforts to reform the prairie village are met by a wall of gossip, greed, conventionality, pitifully unambitious cultural endeavors, and, worst of all, the pettiness and bigotry of small town minds. Sinclair Lewis, Main Street, a classic, right? I'm sure some of you have read that one. Anybody getting closer? Are we down to 4 with some? Woohoo! This malfunctioned while you were out for 1 minute.
Come on.
So yeah, oh yeah, no, it did. It did. It did. The damn thing just flew across the room.
Oh man.
I know. I fixed it.
Good job.
Thank you. All right, so let's see. Firefly Summer. Firefly Summer. Oh, this is another one I got off Beehive Rugs Blogspot. Beehive Rugs Blogspot. Isn't this beautiful? See the fireflies, the 2 little girls, and they're reaching out for fireflies. Maybe they have jars or whatever. But this is Firefly Summer. Mava Binchi, Firefly Summer, 2007. The sun came in at a slant, first line. The sun came in at a slant and hit all the rings and marks on the bar counter. That's a good first line, huh? So Kate, Ryan, and her husband John have a rollicking pub in the Irish village of Montfern. They have 4 lovely children and such wonderful dreams. But all that is about to change one fateful summer when an American millionaire named Patrick O'Neill comes to town with his irresistible charm and the money to burn. As love and hate vie for the town's quiet heart, old traditions begin to crumble away. Whew! You know, I haven't read this one either. I thought it was a bit lighter than that, but it sounds like it has potential to be quite a serious book, Firefly Summer. I wonder if any of you have read that. It sounds great. It sounds riveting, but it sounds like it could have some bad and sad moments in it, doesn't it? Kara's only got 3 left. Catherine, you have to tell me if you come back sometime and go to the Berkshires. We'll have to get together at the Red Lion, right? Do some rootling around over there. I'm dying to go back to the Norman Rockwell Museum because I haven't been there for almost a year, right? And they constantly put new stuff out, so I'd love it if you came back. Oh, no, it happened again. It happened again. All right. I never knew I was a good problem solver, you know. This is just not my area of expertise by any means. Ooh. All right. I think we got this one here. The Joy of Cooking. The Joy of Cooking. Do you have the joy of cooking in your kitchen? Way in the back on your counter? The Joy of Cooking. And I gave you, for the Joy of Cooking, a Nancy Thomas image. So you know that I, at Ribbon Candy Hooking, have the Nancy Thomas images. And this one that was originally done by Claire Murray back in the day, Um, I now have the rights to. So if you like this image, I'm just trying to get the thing in focus. This is crazy. But this is a Nancy Thomas image that was for Julia Child, I think. Why is it doing this to me? Man, technology, there we go. I mean, it's not super in focus because I printed it on the little Hewlett Packard printer. Bon Appetit, it's called. But Nancy Thomas, The Joy of Cooking. Yes, Catherine. Red Lion. Strawberry daiquiris will have to go on a Thursday when the special is meatloaf. They have a different special for each night of the week, but I love the meatloaf. And I will drink anything. So that sounds really good. The Joy of Cooking. This is one of these classic cookbooks that I think everybody has. Mom, you have the one with that light blue, like almost Tiffany blue cover, right? The Joy of Cooking.
Mm.
ABCFG,
Yeah,
HIJ.
You get 20,000 T's. Here, I mean, start looking.
Okay. Oh, it's a T.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. We're getting there, y'all. We got to get the T's back in order.
I don't see it at all.
Oh, it's got to be here. Are you sure it's not under J for joy?
No.
The Awakening, the Bat, the Cat.
J is back there.
Okay. The Phantom of the Opera, Princess Bride, No, Linda Willow, Secret Life of Bees. Wow, it seems like we don't have the Joy of Cooking. Okay, hang on, I'm getting there. House of the Spirits, Grapes of Wrath. This is crazy. Monkey's Paw, Mermaid Cheer. Oh, Joy of Cooking right here. Whew, sorry about that. That was a tricky one. The Joy of Cooking by Irma Rambauer and Marion Rambauer Becker, 1951 edition. It actually came out in 1931. Irma's words from the 1951 edition. Any experimental cook can produce a good meal when her financial means and her sources of supply are unlimited. But it is an art to make delicious dishes with meager means. That is nice. In nearly 90 years since Irma Rambauer self-published the first 3,000 copies of The Joy of Cooking in 1931, it has become the kitchen Bible. With more than 20 million copies in print, the new edition of Joy, The Joy of Cooking, has been thoroughly revised, expanded by Irma's great-grandson John Becker and his wife Megan Scott. I didn't know it was a family project. After 40 years, oh, did you, Mom? You got a new Joy of Cooking after 40 years? Hope you didn't throw the old one out. I'd like to have the old one. I remember it so well. It has stains all over the cover and all through the pages because we refer to it constantly. We did back in the day when we cooked a lot, you know. It was so fun. The Joy of Cooking. Be careful with this thing, man. All right, next call. Little Women. Little Women. Teddy's on the phone. So Little Women, I'm showing you this Christmas picture. This is actually from Skinner, the auction site. It was a Skinner auction, mid-20th century rug. I do not know if this is a commercial pattern. The estimate, I think it might be up now. The estimate is between $400 and $600. If you have seen this pattern, let me know because I'd be curious to know if this is a commercial pattern. A lot of nice sort of toys scattered on the floor with a Christmas theme. Louisa May Alcott, 1868. The first line, and this is why I gave you this rug. Christmas won't be Christmas without any gifts, grumbled Joe, lying on the rug. What kind of a rug? The original is in tatters. Just don't throw it out, Mom. I'll be heartbroken if you throw it out. I'll take it in tatters. I'll put it up in a frame somewhere. But Little Women, Louisa May Alcott, what a great book. Another heartbreaking book, right? Little Women was originally published in 2 volumes in 1868 and 1869, follows the lives of the 4 March sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, from childhood to womanhood, and is loosely based on the author and her 3 sisters. Although Little Women is a novel for girls, it differed notably from current writings for children, especially girls. And it did, I think it really did. I mean, reading it as an adult, I've read it a few times, it really speaks to you as if you're an adult, the way that you're supposed to speak to children, right? But when I've also read American Bloomsbury, which is another great book recommendation. It's kind of a memoir of that whole period of history, and it talks a lot about Louisa May Alcott's kind of crush on Henry David Thoreau, because they were contemporaries of each other, and all of the people who lived in Concord, Massachusetts, outside Boston at that time. Such a rich history, and so much intrigue, so much more interesting, and not at all black and white compared to what we think of people living at that time. They had pretty wild and busy lives, much busier than my life is, I'll tell you. My life is pretty busy with work, but as far as walking to Boston every other day to hear lectures, all day, like 10-hour walks, they thought nothing of doing things like that. They were such classic Yankee people. So that was Little Women. Next call. Oh, Cujo. Stephen King, Cujo. I am Teddy. I'm doing my show. Teddy's on the phone. He's asking for Mama. He wants to talk about video games. So this is Cujo. Look at this beautiful Cujo.
Really?
This is, come on. Stephen King, as you know. Now, this website I haven't seen before. It's called findweatherly.com. This is a late 19th century rug of a Saint Bernard, which is what Cujo was, if you remember in the Stephen King book. It was put up by the findweatherly.com. It's from the Hudson River Valley Horse Farm. So it's currently for sale on findweatherly.com. It's $925, which might sound like a large number, but you know what? This is a beautiful old rug. And this is a proper old rug. Look at his tongue lolling out. This is Cujo. He looks a little bit more tired than Cujo, at least in my imagination. I have not read Cujo, but I have read Salem's Lot, and I absolutely love Salem's Lot, but that for me is the limit of Stephen King because the other stuff is just too scary. First published in 1981, first line. Once upon a time, not so long ago, a monster came to the small town of Castle Rock, Maine. Dub, dub, dub. Sorry, I had to do it. Outside a peaceful town in central Maine, a monster is waiting. Cujo is a 200-pound St. Bernard, the best friend of Brett Camber's ever had, but one day Cujo chases a rabbit into a cave inhabited by sick bats. There's another reference to our bat book, right? And emerges as something new altogether. So I guess we're talking about a transformation, a rabies-style transformation for poor Cujo. So I can't imagine that this ends well, right? I mean, he can't live, surely, if he has rabies and he kills lots of people. Lisa says, I grew up reading Stephen King novels, loved horror in my younger days. You know, Lisa, that's so true. I loved horror, too. I loved, like, the Twilight Zone and the Alfred Hitchcock books and all those stories, like the short stories about, like, somebody who has a bump on their face and they think it's a pimple and they scratch it and then a bunch of spiders come out, like those kinds of terrible stories from that period. But as I get older, I just can't handle scary stuff. Like, I can't handle scary stuff. I can't handle violent stuff, and I can't handle stuff about kids. But I loved Salem's Lot because the vampire thing for me had a shape, and it didn't overlap into other kind of gratuitous violence that I couldn't process, like Cujo. I don't know. I mean, I have my little Yorkie, and he's a bit of a Cujo, so I don't know. But yeah, Stephen King is certainly a landmark guy, right? And for his first novel, which I think was Carrie, I remember reading that his wife took his manuscript out of the garbage outside while he was asleep in his bed because he'd written it on a typewriter and there was one copy and he was sick of rejection. And she went out and got it out of the trash and submitted it to other agents, and that was the beginning of their success. But one of those stories where you just can't take any more rejection in your life and you give up, and then luckily his wife had the foresight to follow up and take it out of the garbage. He seems like a nice guy, but a bit, you know. All right, let's see. Next call. Well, I was going to say totally different, not that different. Moby Dick. Moby Dick. And I've got for you this beautiful Edith O'Neill rug. We did a couple shows on Edith O'Neill. Remember rugs from her red cape? Remember, and I showed you how on her blog, Edith O'Neill, you could download the whole book as a PDF and you didn't have to spend a crazy amount of money on it because it's not in print. But this represents the book Moby Dick by Herman Melville, 1851, probably the most famous opening line of any book. Go ahead, say it. Call me Ishmael. I know you know that, right? It's just infamous name. Moby Dick, or The Whale, as it was at one point called, is a novel by Herman Melville in which Ishmael narrates the monomaniacal quest of Ahab, captain of the whaler Pequod, for revenge on an albino sperm whale called Moby Dick, which on a previous voyage destroyed Ahab's ship, severed his leg at the knee, etc., bad things. Although the novel was a commercial failure and out of print at the time of the author's death in 1891, its reputation grew immensely during the 20th century. D.H. Lawrence called it one of the strangest and most wonderful books in the world, and the greatest book of the sea ever written. Moby Dick is considered the great American novel and an outstanding work of the Romantic period in America. and the American Renaissance of writing. So he's also contemporary of those people I was just talking about. And he also lived in the Berkshires, right, Catherine? He lived overlooking Mount Greylock, which is his inspiration for writing Moby Dick, because it's shaped like a sperm whale. So although he went to sea as a young man, he went on one sea voyage as a young man, didn't put that much of an impression on him. But staring out the window with no ideas in his head as a young writer, or as a washed-up writer, as he felt himself to be then, he kept looking out at this mountain, seeing the shape of this whale taunting him, and he wrote Moby Dick. So in the end, topography helped him out. Cujo was one of the scariest movies you've ever seen, Michelle. Definitely not seeing it. Thank you. Definitely, that was probably a recommendation, but I'm definitely not seeing it. It sounds super scary. And I really like St. Bernard's. I just don't want to know. Next call. Memoirs of a Geisha. Memoirs of a Geisha. And I'm going to show you this beautiful little rug from eBay. This sold on eBay Canada, right? Because sometimes things do not cross over for international sellers. People don't ship. It's no longer available. It's sold. It didn't say for how much. But I do not know if this is a commercial pattern. Sorry for the dirty fingernails. I did some dyeing. But this is Memoirs of a Geisha. It's representing this book, another book that is quite famous that I have not read. Arthur Golden, 1997. Last line of the book. But now I know that our world is no more permanent than a wave rising from the ocean. Whatever our struggles and triumphs, however we may suffer them, all too soon they bleed into a wash, just like watery ink on paper. That's good, huh? That's good. So Nita Sayuri tells us in a voice at once haunting and startlingly immediate of her life as a geisha. Her story begins in a poor fishing village in 1929 when, as a 9-year-old girl with unusual blue-gray eyes, she's taken from her home and sold into slavery. I was worried that was going to say something like that. To a renowned geisha house. Oh my God, 9 years old. We witness her transformation as we enter a world where appearances are paramount, where a girl's virginity is auctioned to the highest bidder. This is awful. I know this is a famous book. It's definitely not for me. Definitely not for me. I know it was a movie too. Is it a beautiful book, Kira? I don't think I can handle it. But I bet it's a gorgeous book. That is just rough. That's a rough setup. Love this book. Went through a period where I read all Chinese and Japanese books. Snowflower, The Secret Fan. Kira, give me a recommendation for one that's not about a 9-year-old girl in bondage. Because I would love to read one too, but that would just, I'd be thinking about Jocelyn the whole time. Memoirs of a Geisha. Give me some recommendations, anybody, because now you know the kind of books I like too. If you like the same kind of books, give me some good recommendations. It's apparently still winter. Oops. And this is coming back out again. All right, this just did its thing again, but I'm going to pull the closest one. This is the book on my nightstand right now. Haven't started it, but this is the book on my nightstand. Yeah. Clara and Mr. Tiffany. Clara and Mr. Tiffany. See how I have this nice stained glass thing for you? Sunflower and The Secret Fan. I'll check those out, Kira. Not too much violence, right? Not too much stuff with girls and stuff. This is called Water Lily. It is designed and hooked by Carla Fortney, Fortney. Beautiful stained glass effect. Her page is Laura WP Files at WordPress. So this book is called, again, Clara and Mr. Tiffany. Okay. Oh, good. Hi. Thank you. I love high recommendations. This is great that we share recommendations with each other. This is what we do. We're a community and we're pretty close, right? So I will tell you how Clara and Mr. Tiffany is because I have it on my nightstand. Susan Vreeland, who I always love, the girl with the pearl earring. First line, 2012. I opened the bevel glass door under the sign announcing Tiffany Glass and Decorating Company in ornate bronze. A new sign with a new name. Fine. I felt new too. So it's 1893 at the Chicago World's Fair. Louis Comfort Tiffany makes his debut with a luminous exhibition of innovative stained glass windows that he hopes will earn him a place in the international artistic stage. I did not know that this was set up at the World's Fair. But behind the scenes in his New York studio is the free-thinking Clara Driscoll, head of his women's division, who conceives of and designs nearly all of his iconic leaded glass lamps, for which Tiffany will long be remembered. Ho, 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 did you know that? That it was a woman that was doing this while he was getting all the credit. Never publicly acknowledged, Clara struggles with her desire for artistic recognition and the seemingly insurmountable challenges that she faces as a professional woman. She also yearns for love and companionship and is devoted in different ways to 5 men, including Tiffany, who enforces a strict policy. He does not employ married women. Uh-oh. Ultimately, Clara must decide what makes her the happiest: the professional world of her hands, or the personal world of her heart. Okay, this is a book for me. So I am definitely reading this book. If you've read it, let me know what you think. No bad stuff. Thanks, Kira. Yeah, I'm going to read that. That sounds amazing. I have that on my nightstand, and also The Forest Lover, which is the novel about Emily Carr. Those are the 2 on my nightstand right now. And a bunch of Pearl McGowan books, obviously. So, all right. We must be getting close. Next call. All right. Let's see. I think this is right here. All right, this is The Portrait of Mrs. Sharbouk, or Miss Sharbouk. I gave you a real close-up of a winter scene because there's some really significant parts of this book that are in the winter. That is really not in good focus. This came off the Rug Hooking Daily blog. Sorry about the quality of that. I did a crop of the snow and the Van Gogh sky. It's just a beautiful winter scene with a little farmhouse, which, again, is a big, significant scene in this book. The Portrait of Madame or Ms. Sharbouk. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Again, it has a little bit of a risque thing going on, so be careful if you don't like that at all. But this is one of the most exciting books I've ever written. I wish I read The Portrait of Madame Sharbouk. Let's see. We're looking for it because we got a situation with the T's and the thes. I wonder if it's just under P. Good thing I put a box on them, right? That at least helps a little bit.
Some of them.
Some of them. Well, I think I put on all of them. Come on. Sorry, you all. I'm coming back. We're looking for Sharbouk. Let's see. We seem like we're super out of order. I know I'm not helping. Perfume. Portrait, right here. Portrait, there's no the. That's the problem. Jeffrey Ford. Portrait of Ms. Sharbouk. So, 2002, really, this is such a good book. First line, much to my unease, Mrs. Reed positioned herself all evening beneath or immediately to the other side of her new portrait. She had for this occasion worn the same black gown and diamond necklace I had requested she wear when posing for me. Given the situation, comparisons between God's work and my own were unavoidable. Okay, 2002. So this is a mysterious and richly evocative novel. The Portrait of Mrs. Sharbouk tells the story of a portraitist called Piero Piombo, who is offered a commission unlike any other. Here it comes. The client is Mrs. Sharbouk. She's a wealthy and elusive woman who asks Piombo to paint her portrait, though with one bizarre twist. He may question her at length on any topic, but he may not under any circumstances see her. So begins an astonishing journey into Mrs. Sharbouk's world, in the world of 1893 New York society. It's a hypnotically compelling thriller. It really is so interesting because it's a series of scenes set in old New York where the painter is asking her really personal questions, and she's answering them from behind a screen. And he keeps getting impressions based on her stories and her answers, her storytelling, which is like vast scope of stories. He keeps getting impressions and what he thinks are clues. And meanwhile, someone is trying to kill him, like in real life, and he doesn't know why. So it's a thriller, it's a mystery. It's a little bit sexy, but it's mostly super atmospheric, and it is just a beautiful book. Jeffrey Ford is a sci-fi writer. This is not a sci-fi book. This is it's a fiction / mystery, super evocative of the time period, old New York setting. It's a beautiful, very different book, not like anything I've ever read. Oh, we'll get to the end here. All right, that looks like this guy, The Old Man in the Sea. The Old Man in the Sea. So this is Hemingway. This is another Mill River Rugs. We're getting right to the end. Mill River Rugs. This is called Sailing the Seas 2. This is that place I did the video of in Northampton, Mill River Rugs. Beautiful original rug of hers. This is the Hemingway book. As you know, The Old Man in the Sea, 1952. First line, he was an old man who fished alone in a skiff in the Gulf Stream, and he had gone 84 days now without taking a fish. The Old Man in the Sea is one of Hemingway's most enduring works, told in language of great simplicity and power. It is the story of an old Cuban fisherman down on his luck and his supreme ordeal, a relentless, agonizing battle with a giant marlin far out in the Golden Stream. So this has sort of connotations of Moby Dick, right? But this is The Old Man in the Sea by Hemingway. Next call. I feel a bingo coming on. Next call. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And what I've got for you here is something I took off Pinterest with absolutely no information. Totally broken link. It was when I tried to pull it up. So if you know anything about this rug, let me know. It's a beautiful rug. Don't know who did it. I don't know the pattern. Absolutely no information. It's one of the gems of Pinterest, right? But The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, you can see all the characters there lined up around the edge things. So the wonderful Frank Baum, L. Frank Baum, 1900, first line, Dorothy lived in the midst of the great Kansas prairies with Uncle Henry, who was a farmer, and Aunt Em, who was a farmer's wife. That says a lot, doesn't it? Card 2 bingo. Okay, Jennifer got card 2 bingo. And Robin. Okay, good. Also card 2 and Penny also card 2. Let us know if it's more than one card. I'm going to follow through with this. The Wizard of Oz, American children's novel published in 1900, chronicles the adventures of young farm girl Dorothy, Magical Land of Oz. She takes her pet Toto, swept away from Kansas by a tornado. I think you know the rest. Bingo card 2.
Trisha got it too.
Okay, Trisha got it 2. Trisha, Penny, Robin, Jennifer, card 2. Are any of these not card 2? I'm probably going to play out the last ones in a minute. So I know there's a huge delay. Yes, card 2. Let me know if there's anybody not on card 2 that has bingo. And of course, I'll have to tell you in the morning because I'm going to have to check to see if anyone who is not playing live with us also has card 2. I'll have to see all of the card 2s that sold so I can give you an amount. But if it's just card 2, I think it's going to be a good turnaround for tonight. Don't live too far from Judy Garland's. Oh, childhood home in Minnesota. Oh, congratulations, Catherine, too. I love Judy Garland so much, so much. The only person I love almost as much as her is Liza, her daughter, of course. Wow, that was a close game. You were 1 away, Kira. Hey, listen, if there's anybody not on card 2 that won, let me know. Otherwise, congratulations to Robin, Penny, Trisha, Catherine, and anybody else who has card 2, which I will figure out. Jennifer, that's right. Jennifer came in first. I'll figure out and I'll let you know tomorrow what your total win is. But since what was our total pot tonight? It was like huge. I put it away, didn't I? I said it and then I dropped it.
It was 86 times.
86 times $3. $258. Oh, that would be a
So
lot if it's just card 2. That would be a lot.
Say divided by the winners.
So that amount is divided by the winners of everybody who has card 2. So I'll come back to you. I'll send an email first thing in the morning with that amount divided by you. I don't keep anything that is divided. The $3 a card goes to the winners of card 2 unless I hear in the meantime that another card has won. Congratulations to the winners of card 2. I'm going to play for another 10 minutes and read the rest of the calls. If you are done and you are tired and you are ready for bed, you can say goodnight or you can drift off. It was so nice having you. Everybody played a great game. You all did well. It was a close race, and congratulations, as far as I know, to just card number 2. Congratulations. I'm going to keep playing. For those of you that want to keep going and hear the last few calls, again, congrats to our winners. Congrats to everybody. I might as well just cut them, right?
Yeah, don't spin.
Yeah, no spin. So next card, the Dragons of Eden. I pulled this image from my friend Michelle Micarelli, who also lives here in Good Night, Penny, in New Haven, Connecticut. Come on. She does this beautiful fantasy stuff, and she always has women in her stuff. This is Michelle Micarelli's. This is a picture of a woman riding a dragon. And this is for The Dragons of Eden by Carl Sagan, published in 1977. First line, the world is very old and human beings are very young. Dr. Carl Sagan takes us on a great reading adventure, offering his vivid and startling insight into the brain of man and beast, the origin of human intelligence, the function of our most haunting legends, and their amazing links to recent discoveries. You always hear things like this, right? Oh, I'm glad, Jennifer. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you all won. Heather, we'll see you tomorrow. So I'm just going to play it out. And if you're leaving, I'm so happy that you were here, but I hate leaving commentary when people are still watching. So I'll just play through. This is Chocolat. Chocolat, like the Johnny Depp movie, but the book is so much better than the movie, even though we're talking about Johnny Depp. I gave you a hot chocolate because chocolate was another thing that was hard to find in Hook Drugs. This is by Paris House Woolworks. I'm sure you know this website. It's a beautiful website. Paris with 2 R's, House Woolworks. Chocolat by Joanne Harris. The year 2000, first line. We came on the wind of the carnival. A warm wind for February, laden with the hot, greasy scents of frying pancakes and sausages and powdery sweet waffles cooked on a hot plate right there on the roadside, while the confetti sleeting down our collars and cuffs and rolling into the gutters like an idiot antidote to winter. Beautiful book. All Joanne Harris's books beautiful. In tiny Lansquenet, which is the village, where nothing much changed in 100 years, beautiful newcomer Vianne Rocher and her exquisite chocolate shop arrive and instantly begin to play havoc with Lenten vows, right? It's the Lent season. Each box of luscious bonbons comes with a free gift. Vianne's uncanny perception of the buyer's private discontents and a clever, caring cure for them. Is she a witch? Soon the parish no longer cares, as it abandons itself to temptation, happiness, and a dramatic face-off between Easter solemnity and the pagan gaiety of the chocolate festival. If you haven't read this book, you have to read this book. Chocolat is a great, great book. All of Joanne Harris's books. But I love Chocolat. Rabbit Run. Rabbit Run. Oh, this is the picture I pulled. Of course, it's a rabbit running. That was easy to find. Spring Delight. This is by Mary Johnson. And Mary Johnson's website is called designsinwool.com. Designsinwool.com. Mary Johnson. Rabbit Run by John Updike. 1960, first line. Boys are playing basketball around a telephone pole with a backboard bolted to it. Stark. Rabbit Run is a book that established John Updike as one of the major American novelists of his or any generation. Its hero is Harry Rabbit Angstrom. He's called Rabbit. A one-time high school basketball star who on impulse deserts his wife and son. He's 26 years old, a man-child caught in a struggle between instinct and thought, self and society, sexual gratification and family duty. Even, in a sense, human hard-heartedness and divine grace. Though his flight from home traces a zigzag of evasion, he holds to the faith that he is on the right path, an invisible line toward his own salvation as straight as a razor's edge. Now that is interesting. I don't know if that's my kind of book, but that does sound interesting, doesn't it? Next one, another one of my all-time favorites, The Lady's Paradise. The Lady's Paradise. And in lieu of a beautiful picture of a department store, you know, that's one of my great passions in life, I found this one of a lady looking demurely over her shoulder. This is an Etsy shop called Hooked by the Sea Rugs. Hooked by the Sea Rugs. Beautiful pattern. They are on vacation right now, but you can send them an email. They will be back. Hooked by the Sea. And the book is The Lady's Paradise by Emile Zola. Not like any of his other books. If you love the series Selfridges, remember about the department store? You will love Lady's Paradise. It is fantastic. It also came out as a British series. Emile Zola, 1895, first line. Denise had walked from the Saint-Lazare railway station where a Cherbourg train had landed her and 2 of her brothers after a night passed on a hard seat of a third-class carriage. 1883, the novel set in the world of the department store, an innovative development in the mid-19th century. It's all about retail sales, just like Selfridge. Obviously, this came a lot earlier. Zola models his store after Le Bon Marché, which is still there, as far as I know, in Paris, which consolidated under one roof many of the goods hitherto sold in separate shops, the original concept for a department store. The narrative details many of Le Bon Marché's innovations, including the mail order business, its system of commissions, its in-house staff commissary, and its methods of receiving and retailing goods. It sounds super technical, but it's a real romance drama. It's like Monet and Seurat wrapped into one with this whole background of Selfridges. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Beautiful book. Next call, Kiss of the Spider Woman. It's not a call, Kiss of the Spider Woman. This is the rug of my dreams right here. If this goes on sale, please let me get it. Don't get in ahead of me. It is on eBay right now. It's an Art Deco spider web. It's $900. I really want it. I want it really bad. I love this rug. Super Art Deco spider web. And the call is The Kiss of the Spider Woman by Manuel Poik. 1976, first line, something a little strange. That's what you notice. That she's not a woman like all the others. Kiss of the Spider Woman is a graceful, intensely compelling novel about love and victimization. In an Argentine prison, two men share a cell. Molina, a gay window dresser who is self-centered, self-denigrating, yet charming as well. And Valentin, who's an articulate, fiercely dogmatic, revolutionary, haunted by memories of a woman he left for the cause of the revolution, I guess. Both are gradually transformed by their guarded but growing friendship, and by Molina's obsession with fantasy and romance in the movies. I have not read this book, but I saw the Kiss of the Spider Woman with Cheetah Rivera on Broadway, and it's a beautiful Broadway play too. But Kiss of the Spider Woman, and what a gorgeous rug. Second to last, this is another one of my favorite books, How to Make an American Quilt. Beautiful book. As a rug hooker, you're going to love this book, and you should know this book, not just the Winona Ryder movie, but this is a pretty quilt I brought up. Rug Hooking Magazine. It was hooked and designed by Joyce Kruger. So this is a beautiful quilt-inspired hooked rug, and that is How to Make an American Quilt by Whitney Otto, 1991. An extraordinary and moving novel, How to Make an American Quilt, is an exploration of women of yesterday and today who join together in a uniquely female experience. As they gather year after year, their stories, their wisdom, their lives form a pattern from which all of us draw warmth and comfort for ourselves. And I missed putting the first or the last line. You probably had it, Mom, and I accidentally edited it out. So sorry about that. But How to Make an American Quilt. And the very last. Oh, this is another great book. I hope you know this book too. This really is a gorgeous book. Embers. Have you read this one? Embers. This is a picture. This is on eBay right now as a pattern, but this was sold by Skinner Auctions. I don't belong to their site, so I can't see what the selling price was. But this is a commercial pattern that's sold at Skinner Auctions, and the book is Embers by Sandor Marai, first published in 1942. This is a beautiful book. First line. In the morning, the old general spent a considerable time in the wine cellars with his wine grower, inspecting 2 casks of wine that had begun to ferment. Embers is a 1942 novel by a Hungarian writer named Sandor Marai. Its original Hungarian title, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, means Candles Burn Until the End. The narrative revolves around an elderly general who invites his old friend from military school for dinner. The friend had disappeared mysteriously for 41 years, and the dinner begins to resemble a trial where the friend is prosecuted for his character traits. It's a bit heavier and scarier than that. But the book was published first in English in 2001. It's more of like a very suspenseful, intense drama with undertones of violence. It's not violent, but it's very tense, like a thriller. It reads like a thriller. It's a short novel. It's a beautiful novel. So I hope that you enjoyed that. As you can see, our Wheel of Fortune is empty. We made it through bingo night, another one of our long Friday night episodes. I am ready to sit down and finish my solo cup. I hope that you enjoyed that. Many congratulations to the card number 2 winners. Let me know if any of that's changed, but it looks like it was just what I wanted for us to have one winning card, because it means that the people who win get a quite big prize. Money prize to spend. So that is exciting. Happy Friday to everybody. I will be careful, Mom. Don't worry. Yeah, it should be okay. They plowed out there and it stopped snowing, and we can hang out here for a little while and eat some potato chips. But we're not going to drive if it's crazy, so don't worry. There's a couch here, and there's heating in a bathroom and running water and everything else. So we'll see how it goes. But I hope you all had a great night. Congrats to everybody. It was a great theme. If you have a theme for us for bingo night, please let me know. I want to hear some more ideas. My mom came up with this great theme. Thank you again, Mom, for doing all the work that you did for tonight's episode, finding me all these first and last lines, helping with all of that stuff. It was an immense help, and I love you and I appreciate it. And I'm always looking for ideas for the next one. So anything you can come up with. In the meantime, have a great weekend. I will see you Monday. Oh, thanks, Jennifer. I will see you Monday for coffee time at our usual time, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday on the Ribbon Candy Hooking channel. On Wednesday, we will have our Zoom, and I'll put that out to you on the Facebook group, Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. And I'll also put that in the description of our video on Tuesday, so you can Zoom with us in person if you want. And then next Friday, we will have another cocktail night, which will run long and deep into the night. It'll be a regular commentary night, not a game night next Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Enjoy. Be careful. Weather the storm. Make good decisions about driving and heat and all that stuff. Don't do silly stuff. It's just cold and bothersome, but being safe is the main thing. Being cold is better than being dead and making bad choices. So I'm not going to drive if it's dangerous, Mom. Have a good weekend, everybody. I'll see you on Monday.